The Pirate Journey of Arceus. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426 Uproar. Ahem. Return the money to him, give him the second place, and tell him to do it next time. If it was a normal competition, Morgan's behavior might lose a business partner, but except for the official information flow within the world government, his World Economic News Agency is a monopoly enterprise. The Grand Line and the Red Earth continent divide the world, and coupled with the island culture, he can only do this by relying on the news bird. And the existence of the news bird has long been an objective impression of people. Coupled with Morgan's bold reporting behavior, his newspaper's position is very stable. Other countries also have their own news agencies, and they have some reputation in the local area, but they can't compare with Morgan's in the world, so he can occasionally do some willful things. The next day, as the sun appeared on the horizon, the news bird there began its busy day. The channels within the world government have been settled with a lot of money. The level of the five elders simply disdains to manage such things, and the people below are enough to make judgments. As long as the political situation of the world government remains stable, the impact caused by a mere Frevens is completely within the acceptable range. The world government was definitely not the one to take the blame. After all, they were not the ones who sent people into Frevens. Because Tesoro had made arrangements, they had already made public relations preparations. The truth about Frevens. The century-old lie of platinum lead, the choice between human life and money, using platinum lead may cause infertility. As Morgan's news was released, other news followed suit. This was one of the reasons why Morgan's World Economic News Agency was the only one in the world. With his position in the underground world, he could always get the news first. News is time sensitive. If you fall behind, you will have to eat cold rice. The news in the newspaper began to ferment, and this incident caused an uproar almost all over the world. Except for those who knew the truth, or were well prepared. Everyone else was shocked. There was no other reason. Frevens looked too miserable. It was not an exaggeration to call it a hell on earth, especially the appearance of those platinum lead patients, which was even more terrifying. Take it away. Take it all away. In a certain country's palace, the king threw away the tableau in his hand with a little fear. On the long dining table were his favorite platinum lead plates, but he looked at these things as if he had seen the god of death. He ordered his servants to take them away in fear. This was not an isolated case. There were similar things in the palace, among nobles and wealthy businessmen. Platinum and lead, which were usually more expensive than gold, were like poison at this time. A large number of platinum lead products were thrown into the scrapyard. East China Sea, Goa Kingdom. Goa Kingdom is known as the most beautiful kingdom in the East China Sea because they have isolated all the ugliness outside the city walls. Outside the city walls, the terminal of uncertain objects, waste is piled up like a mountain. The lower class and gangsters of the kingdom rely on picking up the garbage that the nobles don't want to maintain their lives. The arrival of a new garbage truck is like opening a treasure chest for them, but today is destined to be different. The soldiers who discarded the garbage wore heavier chemical protective clothing and threw those things away from a distance. When the people at the uncertainty terminal discovered the priceless platinum and lead, they immediately began to scramble for them, even disdaining ordinary garbage, which gave others an opportunity. For example, Ace and Sabo took the opportunity to take away a lot of other things, and also stole everything from the homes of the hooligans when they sent more people, saving those things as future funds for going overseas. Although the hooligans who returned victorious had their homes robbed, they felt that it was all worth it when they saw the platinum and lead they had robbed. But when they arrived at the place where they usually exchanged money, everything changed. Platinum and lead. Who wants that stuff now? Don't you know it's poisonous? He closed the window and then handed a newspaper through the crack in the door. Look for yourself. If you are not afraid of death, keep this thing. Overnight, platinum and lead went from a luxury to a poison. Not to mention priceless. People nowadays don't even want to touch it. Originally, because of the Frevens incident, some people hoarded a large number of platinum and lead products. Looking at the rising prices, they were still laughing a few days ago, but today they can't even cry. Platinum and lead product stores were also closed directly. Some people who sold platinum and lead also became panicked. They dreamed that the tragedy of Frevens would happen to them. Platinum and lead warehouses were no longer guarded, because now no one dared to take platinum and lead even if they were thrown on the street. The price of platinum and lead fell again and again, and now it is even less than scrap iron. And Tesoro was waiting for this. Some people who knew the truth and some military industries would not miss this opportunity, so the price of platinum and lead could not continue to fall. This was the bottom price that Tesoro judged. On the day when platinum and lead plummeted, the people he sent out were divided into several teams and quietly purchased platinum and lead all over the world. Although platinum and lead made everyone feel insecure worldwide, the biggest impact was not on them, but on the countries near Frevens. The news of Morgans came very suddenly, and these royal families were not prepared at all. When they found out, the news had already reached the soldiers. Bang! With a gunshot, a soldier fell to the ground. He did not violate any discipline. He was the one who fired the gun. In the previous Frevens operation, he killed many people. Although he couldn't bear it, it was to save his country and relatives. Although there were some psychological burdens, he could still accept it. But now, when the truth was revealed, and they knew that they had shot innocent people, his psychological defense collapsed. Recalling the innocent smiles of those children, he didn't know how to face it, so he raised his gun and ended his life. Such things have happened a lot recently, causing the king's army to order the withdrawal of firearms to prevent greater changes, but the effect was not great. A pessimistic mood began to spread in the barracks. Some people think that this is not a big deal and they are just obeying, but many people can't accept it. Even some officers have reached their limits. In the barracks, the chief here looked at the wine glass in front of him and added some purple liquid to it. Platinum lead. Platinum lead. Let me experience your pain. But when he was about to drink this cup of poisoned wine, his arm was suddenly grabbed by someone. A man in a green cloak appeared here. Chapter 427 Revolution. Are you here to kill me? Then you're here too early. I was just planning to end my life. If you don't mind, wait for me. An outsider showed up in his barracks. This was originally a very scary thing, but it didn't matter to him. At this time, he had already wanted to die. How could a person who wanted to die be afraid of the threat of death? Do you think death can atone for sins? What do you know? I gave that order. I ordered Fred to trick all those children to a place. I told him to shoot. Fred was the soldier who talked to Sister Misu before. He was also a soldier who committed suicide because he couldn't stand the pressure. However, his suicide transferred more pressure to his superior. The truth about Frevens almost completely shattered his values. At this time, the other party's questioning became the last straw that broke his heart. He wanted to stand up, but a huge force suddenly came from his arm, making him unable to move at all, and a gust of wind suddenly blew in the barracks. You think you are guilty, but why don't you think about the root cause? The news that platinum lead disease is an infectious disease was announced to you by the king. Do you think they really don't know the truth? You are guilty, but death is not the way for you to atone for your sins. The real culprit is still sitting on the throne. In his eyes, you are just a tool for exchanging benefits. As he spoke, a file was taken out. He had seen the news on it before. It was the news that the kingdom was recruiting miners. It said that Frevens virus had died, so he planned to continue mining platinum lead. Unfortunately, Morgans broke the truth about platinum lead, causing the plan to be stranded. Who are you? You can call me Long. We plan to do something big. Here is a brand new beginning. He took off the green hood, revealing a face without eyebrows. His expression looked a little fierce. There was also a string of square tattoos on his left face. The meaning of the pattern on it was unknown, but it seemed to imply something. Dragon. Full name Monkey D. Dragon, son of Hero Garp and father of Luffy. After Luffy was born, he gradually disappeared. Even Garp didn't know where he went. During this time, he was secretly planning a big event to overthrow the entire world government. During this time, he was looking for like-minded partners. At this time, his organization was still small, but the signs had already appeared. After he saw the situation in Frevens, He realized that this was an opportunity. The countries around Frevens were where he first officially took action. Big thing. Although the king is the king, when this king no longer protects the people, but wants to squeeze the flesh and blood of the civilians, why should we let him continue to sit on the throne? As long as they continue to covet the interests of platinum and lead, then this matter will not stop. Defeat them and seal the platinum and lead mines, so that the tragedy of Frevens will not continue. This is not your fault, nor is it the fault of your soldiers. You have seen the king's ugly appearance. Do you still want to continue to work for him? Dragon's words seemed to make him realize something, but he was still hesitant. It's not over yet. These kings have to pay a high price of heavenly gold to join the world government. As long as heavenly gold exists, such tragedies will continue to happen. Since you are no longer afraid of death, are you willing to join us? You can't break into the royal city. Even if I can convince my soldiers, there are more powerful guards in the kingdom. You are just joking. How do you know it won't work if you haven't tried it? By the way, if you still feel uncomfortable, do you need me to find a priest to listen to your confession? Priest. Before he could understand the meaning of the word, there was a loud noise outside, and a huge gap appeared on the solid wall. Some soldiers with cloth wrapped around their heads also began to charge. He hurried out of the tent and saw a tall man holding a Bible. Dragon, it has begun. He didn't seem to like talking. After saying this, he stood here like a stake. He was the partner that dragon found in the South China Sea, the former king of the kingdom of Sobel, Bartholomew Big Bear. Watch us, join us, or stop us. It's up to you. The wind has already started blowing in this world. As Long finished speaking, a strong wind suddenly blew on the street, and a light drizzle began to fall from the sky. When he turned around, Long and Kuma were nowhere to be seen. Only the soldiers who had heard the noise and rushed over were left. Sir. He returned to his tent after a moment's hesitation. When he picked up the denden mushi, he happened to see the cloth left on the table. Yes. The wind has started blowing. He picked up the cloth and wrapped it around his head. A battle began, and a team called the Revolutionary Army gradually appeared in people's sight. Also in the North Sea, there were many people who were paying attention to this news. Hehehehe, you are so brave. Do you dare to spread such news? The fruit of the beasts are interesting. They are different from those guys who only know how to fight and kill. In the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo was laughing while reading the newspaper. Dover, do you want to try to contact them? They don't think highly of us. In their eyes, we are just small shrimps. Continue to act according to the original plan. How are the platinum and lead we purchased? The plan is going well, but there is an unknown force that is also purchasing platinum and lead in large quantities. Do you want to do it, Dover? No, they must have prepared so much money long ago. Now is not the right time to offend those who know the inside story. Hehehe, this world is becoming more and more interesting. Many people have rich assets, but not necessarily liquid cash. Now that the news has just fermented, these people have begun to purchase platinum and lead in large quantities, and the price of platinum and lead has plummeted. Doflamingo would not believe this if there was no inside information. Those who know the inside story are either the world government or the initiator of this matter. If there is a conflict now, it is inconsistent with the development policy of his family. In addition to Doflamingo, there are many people in the Don Quixote family who are reading newspapers. Baby 5 also found law with a newspaper. Nay, Luo, look, that's your country. Why are you crying? As soon as she finished speaking, she was scared away by Luo's vicious eyes. After escaping from Frevens, he chose to join the Don Quixote family for revenge. Seeing the truth about Frevens being exposed, he was inevitably a little excited. This matter is fermenting all over the world, and the launch conference of the 100 Beasts fruit is almost ready. Chapter 428 The Crooked Nun, Morgan's Live News. In order to achieve the highest efficiency, it is necessary to let the news ferment gradually, and come up with follow-up things when it intensifies. Tizulo had already left Ghost Island with Sister Misu, and he was communicating with her at this time. This is a live broadcast, which is a little different from what was agreed before. In order to carry out the plan smoothly, the issue of the world government cannot be mentioned too much this time. Do you understand? Originally, Tsuruo had prepared the idea of persuading the other party. In his opinion, Misu, who had experienced everything, might not be able to figure it out. But the facts proved that he was overthinking. I understand that the moment of sanctions will come sooner or later. This is just a precursor. The judgment of the Lord will eventually come. You are a nun, right? Yes, Mr. Tsuruo, what's the problem? Why do I feel that you are more like a madman like the Inquisition? Tsuruo does not believe in religion, but he has seen other missionaries in the battles between the so-called Inquisition. Those people are a group of fanatics. They are not afraid of anything. When they mention their own beliefs, they really dare to fight to the death. If it weren't for the pirate island world that made religious forces have not improved, and only religions that rely on the world government can develop to a certain scale, then religious issues would have become a disaster. However, the world government has no interest in this and just treats them as a special group. I talked to Miss Shaina, and I think her ideas are right. What this world needs is a purification. Now Tsuruo knows why. A nun whose faith has collapsed met another fanatic when she was rebuilding her faith. This fanatic is still a militant who advocates revenge. Then a kind nun changed like this, but the good news is that she has not become a madman like the Inquisition. By the way, Mr. Tsuruo, I have been discussing doctrine with Miss Shaina recently. Are you interested in listening? This will be next time. Let's take a look at the lines first. This is also the order of Lord Arceus. Well, what a pity. The advantage of this kind of fanatic is here. As long as it is related to faith, they will cooperate with the action. And the trouble is also here. For example, if someone said something wrong in front of Shaina, unless Arceus stopped her, Shaina would definitely flip the table on the spot. Ulti was taught a lesson in this way before she learned her lesson. It can be seen how powerful this force is to be able to defeat a proud mouth. He also heard that Misu had been practicing boxing and kicking with Shaina recently. Although he was old, he would probably be a violent person in the future. He had already imagined some slightly terrifying ways of preaching. According to the eternal pointer given by Morgans, Tsuruo brought Misu to an unknown island. This kind of island is not uncommon in the sea. In the long history, the location of many islands has changed, and the world government has erased a lot of history. This is especially true for the blank 100 years. In addition to the unique geographical environment of the Grand Line, some islands have become isolated islands due to special ocean currents, and ordinary recording pointers cannot detect their magnetic fields. To find this place, you need a special pointer. This is one of Morgan's many strongholds. Although he can't find these islands, the newsbird can detect the existence of these islands with its unique magnetic field perception ability. These secret strongholds are also an important factor in his rise. Wow, ha. Welcome. The live broadcast is ready. Before the launch of the 100 Beasts fruit, Morgans also had a live broadcast, similar to the live broadcast of the war on the top, but not on such a large scale. Although Tsuruo cleared the joints, it was limited to the product launch. Those officials dared not take the opportunity to poke the backbone of the world government in person. The world government could not use official power to help in such a matter. Keeping silent and issuing a statement after the incident was the best attitude. In addition, Morgans has the greatest power in this regard. Lights. Makup. Work quickly. Sister Misu, come here. You need to put on some Makup. One by one, the Dendenmushi were awakened, and the writers in the World Economic News Agency were also ready to write articles. Although they had already written some articles according to the intelligence, the live broadcast might change, and they would rewrite the articles according to the feedback from various places. Because of the need to be on camera and the lighting, the Makup of the characters was different from usual. The two girls quickly prepared the base Makup and then made a gesture to Morgans. As the president of the World Economic News Agency, Morgans is also the top reporter and part-time host here. Ahem, everyone, welcome to this rare live broadcast. I'm sure you have all read our newspapers, but we found a more explosive news today. We accidentally found a survivor of the Frevens incident, Sister Misu. Although she looks healthy now, she was actually a patient with platinum lead disease a few months ago. Let this nun describe the specific situation to us. Morgans gave the camera to Misu. I left Frevens because of the church's affairs before, but I didn't expect to hear the news of the blockade of Frevens from the outside world. After that, I got sick when I was staying at a friend's house. My friend mistook those fake news for an infectious disease and drove me out. My body became weaker and weaker. I was desperate and the rescue station of the beast fruit took me in. This was a slightly modified experience. The nun's long narration did not attract much attention, but Morgans kept making some hot topics to maintain the heat. As time was almost up, the key topic of this time broke out. Their doctor cured platinum-Lee disease. As soon as this was said, some doctors and scholars who were concerned about this matter showed an incredible expression. After all, they had already determined the fact that platinum-Lee disease had no solution. But as the camera turned, Tizulo had already appeared here, and some of the papers were also placed in front of the eyes of the Denden Mushi. I know you may not believe this, but here are detailed treatment reports and analysis papers, which will be sold in the form of news attachments with the newspaper tomorrow. Although platinum-Lee is toxic, our team of experts has successfully found a way to treat this disease after a long period of cracking. Whether it is the onset or the incubation period, our medicine can have a good effect. We will hold a product launch conference in half a month, and then we will announce all the specific details of it. Tizulo said the last detail, which is also the last step before their profit plan. Chapter 429, The Launch of the 100 Beasts Fruit. It's over. Guys, don't be idle, we need to move. The live broadcast of Denden Mushi was shut down, but none of the backbones of the World Economic News Agency stopped, but started the hot air balloon at the headquarters to prepare to move to the island. Even if Tesoro had smoothed out some relationships in this matter, he could not solve all the relationship factions of the world government. If he could really make all the officials listen to him, he would not be in this position. To be safe, he kept changing places. Do you want to move with us? Although I can't take you to the destination, it's still okay to drop you off halfway. Morgans also has a number of secret bases. This time, the news made him willing to abandon a base, because it was enough to pry the waves of the world, but the next base must not be discovered by these outsiders. No, we have our own way of moving. Then Tesoro took Misu, and left here by boat. On the boat, some people had been waiting for a long time. Chabu. A doll took his ear off a radar-like instrument. The world of pirates already has radar technology, but it is rarely used in daily life. A large number of wooden sailboats cannot carry this equipment at all. The crooked technology tree makes pure ironclad ships very rare here. This semi-living radar is also improved according to the characteristics of the doll. It did not find any other ships approaching here. Let's go. The voyage is quite tight. A man dressed like Kamen Rider urged Tesoro to set sail quickly. This was actually Jin, but he changed his clothes. It was not in line with his personality to stay in Wano country every day, so he would occasionally come out when there were enough people. The reason why he came here was because in this world of severe face blindness, some people's eyes are almost white, especially the photographer organization. They are weak, but they are unscientifically strong. They can get photos of various battlefields, various angles, and various powerful monsters, and they all survived. They are strong, but they are outrageous. They forget to open the lens cap and cannot find their true bodies. Such things happen from time to time. Jin, Cracker, and Shaina are all examples. Their true appearance has never been discovered. Shaina and Jin are masks after all, and Cracker and the wanted list are just cookie shells. Olga is the most suitable for this kind of mission, but there is a problem in the first half. Her career in the entertainment industry was put in advance, and she is planning the operation there. So Jin changed into a brand new leather jacket, and Tutu Dog helped him dye it. With the flame on his back extinguished, basically no one could recognize him as Jin. The people accompanying him were also newcomers like Koga Greninja who had never shown their faces. When the people of Beishao moved towards the scheduled address of the press conference, doctors and some scholars from all over the world became excited. Platinum-Lee disease has been conquered? How is it possible? How did they do it? Teacher, your speculation is correct. Platinum-Lee disease is not an infectious disease, but a mineral disease. Someone has confirmed it. Shocked or sighing, doctors from all over the world had the biggest reaction to this. A terminal disease recognized by the medical community was completely conquered. This was undoubtedly a big earthquake in the medical community. At the same time, there were people who disdained it, thinking it was a lie, and wanted to expose this statement that deceived the world and prove themselves. Some doctors wanted to save lives, while others valued their reputation more. The fact that the 100 Beasts fruit had made such a big splash was a natural opportunity for them. According to the address and date announced by Tizulo, those who could get there had already taken action. Those who could not get there, or did not have time, also began to ask for connections, to let others go there instead of them. The live broadcast and subsequent newspapers were completely different from what was brought on site. On the day of the 100 Beasts fruit press conference, many reporters and professionals from all walks of life had already arrived here. As time passed, Tizulo appeared here on time, and dropped a bombshell right away. Everyone, I know you all have a lot of questions. Seeing is believing. Now we will announce the content of our research. This is a breakthrough that our professional team has worked hard for several years to achieve. Then he used the projection phone bug to release a large picture, which was the molecular structure of platinum lead. Tizulo himself could not understand what was left. In short, this molecular structure was completely destroyed. If you have professionals, you should be able to understand what this means. This is how we treat platinum lead disease. We solve the problem of platinum lead from the root and allow it to be excreted smoothly. However, the atmosphere off the field was different from what Tizulo thought. Many doctors could not understand what was going on, while those who studied minerals and metals were whispering and seemed to be nervously verifying something. Is that so? Our previous thinking was wrong? Yes, if it is like this, it is indeed feasible. But how did they do it? I don't know. What on earth is this? Why can it do this? The scene gradually became noisy, and Tizulo smiled with satisfaction. This scene was right. Mr. Tizulo, may I ask how you did it? Mr. Tizulo, how did you discover this substance? Questions came one after another, and Tizulo also took out the paper. Everyone, don't worry. The detailed process is recorded in the paper. We will publish it next. Except for a little bit of confidentiality, the methods and principles are all shared. Then he signaled his assistant to distribute the prepared things to everyone, and the people below also passed it on in various ways. Even Vegapunk's laboratory got a copy of the information. However, Vegapunk was not interested in this, so Caesar Corand was still browsing this thing. Although he had no moral character, he was very talented in chemical materials. Soon he automatically filtered out the nonsense parts and found the key part. The principle is fine, and it does destroy the structure of platinum and lead. But what is this thing? What they published is not important at all, because many things are based on this principle. The key is the substance that destroyed the structure of platinum and lead. Caesar couldn't understand what it was. Not only him, but everyone who saw the information couldn't understand it. In fact, even Quinn, the author of the paper, didn't know what the substance was, because he wrote it based on the process of Diancie condensing platinum and lead in reverse. It is the power of Pokemon, something that has never appeared in this world. Chapter 430 Choice. This mysterious power also became the key factor for them to crack the platinum lead disease, but Caesar saw something else in it. Being able to destroy platinum lead in this way means that they can use platinum lead. If platinum lead is integrated into his weapons, then the power of his weapons will inevitably be further enhanced. Swish, this is really a great discovery. But why does the writing style of this paper look so familiar to me? Caesar, who planned to study this kind of thing carefully, felt that something was wrong. This writing style made him feel familiar, but a little different. Soon he completely forgot about it. At the press conference, the original treatment diary also began to play at 3 times the speed. Since no one here has developed photo editing technology, the image data is assumed to be real. The symptoms of Misu's platinum lead disease were too obvious at the time, and people could see it at a glance, even if it was just data. Miss Misu is here today. You are all masters of the medical field. You can give her a physical examination. You all know the effects of platinum lead disease. But now she is a very healthy person. There are some physical examination equipment on site. You can come and do a physical examination in person. He had already announced the treatment report before. The case compiled by the doctors of the entire Beast Pokemon Center had no loopholes, but these people might not believe this. After waiting for the physical examination results to come out, various factors proved this point. Now there is only one question left, that is, what is the mysterious element they use to treat Platinum Lee disease? Mr. Tesoro, what is a purple liquid on Miss Misu's face during treatment? Is it the reason for your treatment of Platinum Lee disease? Ahem, that's just an experimental drug. We have made a more complete breakthrough. The next is the main topic of this time, the drug to treat Platinum Lee disease. Then a pile of ordinary white pills were taken out. After our experts' analysis, although carrying platinum and lead is harmless, long-term use of platinum and lead products and platinum and lead condiments may affect them. This medicine is specifically used to treat platinum and lead disease. The earlier the treatment, the better the effect. Each course of treatment only costs 5 million baileys, and 12 courses of treatment can cure the disease. 12 courses of treatment to cure the disease. This is not in line with profitability. The best medicine is of course a special medicine that can cure the disease. Such medicine exists, no matter which world, but such medicine is not popular with pharmaceutical companies. They will deliberately adjust the efficacy of the medicine, because for them, suppression is more important than treatment. Just take the medicine, and the disease will relapse when you stop taking the medicine. Such medicine is the most profitable. But that is not Tesoro's profit policy. If Stella is dead, he will never care about this method, as long as he can make money, but it is different now. He still has a conscience in his heart. There are many ways to make money. His goal is to make a name for himself with special medicines, and then make money with long-term healthcare drugs, such as special ingredients extracted from tree fruits. The fruits of the tree have many functions. The special fruits that improve physical fitness are naturally internal products. Even the drugs for export are inferior versions mixed with water, but there are many other functions. For example, beauty and hair care, making the skin smooth, etc. These are the ways for their medical department to make money. Of course, 5 million baileys and 12 courses of treatment are already sky-high prices for many people, and someone below has raised opinions. Mr. Tesoro, don't you think this price is too high? Hi, everyone, you all know one thing. This is a difficulty that our people have overcome with a lot of effort. Mainly refers to Quinn accidentally staining the paper when eating rice cake and red bean soup, and then burning it when drying, so he had to stay up for 2 nights to rewrite it. We paid a lot of costs for this. Mainly refers to Diancie eating 2 pieces of Pokemon Puffin when fusing platinum and lead. We need more capital investment to research more effective drugs. Refers to paying Mac in some wages, and then she will combine some new herbs according to the characteristics of the fruit. However, Tesoro's words did make the people present believe it, but his last sentence was a little bit heartbreaking. And you can think about it carefully. Can poor people afford platinum lead? Will people who can afford platinum lead care about this little money? Of course, we are not robbing. You can choose not to buy it. Anyway, the probability of platinum lead disease is not 100%, but the mortality rate is as high as 100%. Although there is the case of Misu, the mortality rate of platinum lead disease is indeed very high. Without this special medicine, there is no solution. Okay, everyone, today's press conference ends here. This medicine has passed the approval of the world government and will start selling tomorrow. It's up to you whether to buy it or not. Everything that should be said has been said, so naturally there is no intention to continue to sell it. In addition, this medicine is also mixed with some tree fruit ingredients, which can make people's complexion better. It can be said to be a powerful health product. According to the daily living habits of those nobles, their bodies will definitely get better after taking it. It is also what Tesoro hopes to see, that they take this medicine as a health product. This will make it easier to further promote their beauty masks and other things. The women in the Beast Pirates have already recognized the practicality of this item. After the press conference, the medical community has begun to circulate the paper, and Material Science has also launched a new study on platinum and lead. However, a large number of order information has been sent to the headquarters of the beast fruit. Those noble royal families who have been using platinum and lead for a long time are afraid, and this time the news is so real that even the experts and scholars have not found any problems. These laymen naturally believe it. In this case, they all choose to spend money to ensure safety. A huge flow of funds began to flow into the beast fruit. Because the people above have been fed, the actions of the beast fruit at this time have not been disturbed, but a notice from the Public Relations Department of the world government has turned some people into rats that everyone wants to beat. The royal family of Frevens concealed the truth, causing the world government to make a misjudgment, and Mirajoa no longer provides them with asylum. Someone has to take the blame for this matter, and the royal family of Frevens who escaped in advance naturally became the one to take the blame. As for why they took the blame, if they were honest and took the blame, they would still be condemned by everyone. With the huge assets they brought with them, they would not be in any trouble. But if they dared to break the window paper, CP0 would greet them at the bedside tonight. However, they were secretly going to buy medicine. Living in Frevens, they were still a little afraid of this matter. Chapter 431, Quinn, who single-handedly changed the direction of science. Hey, these people are really bold. Torable, what's the situation outside? It seems that someone is asking the pharmacy about similar drugs, and the price of platinum lead has also started to rise, but the rise is limited. The action is really fast. The price should increase a little more, but it will definitely not return to the previous state. Prepare to contact buyers. Even if the 100 beasts fruit has overcome the platinum lead disease, the fact that platinum lead is poisonous cannot be changed. It can be seen that the frequency of use of platinum lead will inevitably decrease in the future. Only the military industry still cannot do without it. However, they can still make a lot of money by almost buying at the bottom. By the way, where is that kid? Are you talking about Law? He seemed to be watching a live broadcast just now. Call him over. Doflamingo was still interested in this kid who had just joined his pirate group, because he saw a very interesting look in Law's eyes at that time, a look that wanted to destroy the world. At this time, Law had already joined the Darnquixote pirates, but Rocinant had not communicated with him yet. At this time, Rocinant was still a mute in everyone's eyes, and Law was also cultivated by Doflamingo as a new generation. Although he only had 3 years left to live, if he was lucky, he might not be unable to survive. This is what Doflamingo said when he joined. Not many people know the inside story of Platinum Lead, but Doflamingo happens to be one of them. The main business of the Darnquixote pirates is black market transactions, and wrestling devil fruits is one of the main transactions. Although the current trading range is only in the North Sea, they have begun to expand to the Grand Line. The big pie that Doflamingo painted for Law at the beginning was that it was possible to find a devil fruit that could cure him. As the most experienced devil fruit deliveryman on the sea, he knew very well which fruit could cure Law, and that fruit was his goal, the surgery fruit, a magical fruit that can perform immortality surgery on others in the record. Dover, Luo is here. Luo, with a bruised face, was brought over. In this regard, the Darnquixote family is a little similar to the beasts. Both of them are cultivating a new generation. Laoji teaches physical skills, Gladius teaches shooting, and Diamond teaches swordsmanship, but the effect is far worse than Kaido's training. Luo, you should have seen the news and the live broadcast. I saw it. I'm sorry, I have to pour a basin of cold water on you, because that is not your life-saving straw. This thing is probably fake. He thinks this thing is fake because he knows the inside story of platinum lead disease, and he is not sure it is fake because he can't talk about medical issues, but the way the beast's fruit makes money makes him feel very strange. If it is really effective, lower the price, let those who are engaged in pauper work buy the medicine together, and change to long-term medication to get the highest profit. But they obviously want to make a fortune and make a name for themselves at the same time. This cannot be used as evidence for him, but he can trust his intuition. How is it possible? Sister Misu clearly survived. Oh, is that nun really from Frevens? Yes, she has been living in Frevens. I saw her lying in a pool of blood when she escaped. Having said this, Luo suddenly stopped. He was so excited that he briefly ignored this point. The nun in the newspaper said that she was not in Frevens, but she saw the nun who was shot with her own eyes. Hey, law. Someone is lying. Your eyes are deceiving you. Or, this is a scam in itself. Do you know what kind of company the 100 Beasts fruit is? I don't know. The white gloves of the pirates. The 100 Beasts pirates' obvious money-making tool. They are the 3 major monster pirate groups in the New World. The pirates call them the Sea Emperors, and the words of pirates cannot be believed casually. But I'm not sure whether this is true or not. You can try this medicine, but I won't pay for you unless you can prove that your value exceeds the 60 million baileys of the total treatment. 60 million is not a small amount. Law couldn't prove his worth at this time, but Doflamingo regarded this as a test, and he handed Law an address. This family often uses platinum and lead products, and there is a high probability that they will buy medicines. Whether you can persuade others to help you depends on you. But changes are always faster than planned. Just when he wanted to see what Law would do, an early warning suddenly came from outside. Oh no, Dover, those Navy are catching up again. How can it be so fast? Never mind, retreat first. Because he was always disturbed by the Navy, he had sent his own undercover to the Navy some time ago, but the Navy has always been able to track him down recently, which made him a little annoyed. At this time, he had not thought that his brother had become an undercover agent of the Navy and was providing intelligence to the Navy from time to time. Also in the North Sea, Long's career has achieved great success. Under the impetus of the Frevens incident, the kings of the 2 nearby kingdoms lost a lot of popular support. In addition, with the leadership of 2 powerful people, Xiong and Long, the palace was quickly captured. This revolution was considered to have achieved a certain success, and Long also absorbed a lot of backbone members in this operation. The special medicine of the 100 Beasts fruit is selling well, and the new department has also improved, and many people are trying to crack that medicine. There is no patent protection law here, and there is an omnipresent black market. The underground world doesn't care about that kind of thing at all. They do whatever makes money. It's just that they have never been able to crack the key ingredient, and this ingredient is also regarded by them as the key to cracking the medicine. Not everyone can't crack it. Caesar has been cracking that thing these days, in order to research new weapons. Being able to work in the world government's scientific forces, he naturally has his own abilities. He also analyzed what it is, but that's exactly what he doesn't understand. Why is the carbon element arranged like this? The carbon element arranged like this has this effect. This is fucking unscientific. The worldview he established in the past almost collapsed. Although the composition inside is very complicated, those ingredients can still be found in similar plants or Chinese herbal medicines. Only this crystal, he can't understand it at all. Not only him, many people who have studied to this point have some weird ideas. And this is what Quinn guided Diancie to make according to Arceus's requirements. Carbon element can't only be compressed into diamonds. Diancie's ability plus the unscientific power of Pokemon, this mysterious crystal was born. Quinn swore that, if someone could crack this thing, he would never eat rice cake and red bean soup in his life. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432 World Conference and the 7 Warlords of the Sea. The impact of the 100 Beasts fruit continued, and the scientific and medical communities were greatly shaken by it. In particular, those who studied carbon even thought they had discovered a unique secret treasure. Everyone wanted to study the crystal, but the crystal was very unstable, so their research progress was very slow. However, this matter was nothing to the world government, because this year's World Conference had begun. On the Red Earth continent, the huge cross symbol of the world government was very dazzling. This was Redport, a place to legally cross the Red Earth continent. Most of the kings of countries that were eligible to participate in the World Conference had already arrived here. This was the most heavily guarded place by the Navy. Above it was Mirajoa, and on both sides of the Red Earth continent were Marineford and the G1 branch of the Navy. The generals who stayed at the headquarters could support Mirajoa in a very short time in case of unexpected situations. In addition to the strong defense force there, Mirajoa had never had any problems in hundreds of years. The ship flying the alabaster flag quickly approached the port under the escort of the navy, and the reporters below quickly made way. King Cobra, please come this way. Nefertari Cobra, the king of the desert kingdom of Alabasta, is the most special one among the many kings who participated in the world conference. Because his ancestor was one of the original 20 kings, but they refused to move to Mirajoa and stayed in Alabasta. He could have become a celestial dragon, but his ancestors gave up this opportunity. This place is also within the influence of the Sabaody archipelago, so the coating technology can still be used. With the help of coating and ropes, a special elevator called the bubble cable car was built here, which is also a common way for people to cross the Red Earth continent. This is not the first time Cobra has come here. Standing on the rising cable car, he has no fear at all, but when he turned his head and looked at the Red Earth continent, he found that he seemed to be blind. Guard, do you see anything there? Nothing. King Cobra, what's wrong? Maybe I'm dazzled. I seem to see a snake made of stone. It's windy outside. You may be blinded. Come here and rest for a while. When the bubble cable car disappeared, the rocks on the rock wall fell, and a blue and black rock snake poked its head out, looked around, and then went back and blocked the original gap. Cobra was not dazzled. He saw the rock snake that dug here. They have found the location of many mineral deposits. This time they dug too far without paying attention. After a long staircase, they came to the holy land of Mirajoa, where there are fully automatic self-propelled roads, but in fact such things do not exist at all. Under those automatic elevators are ragged slaves. The glory of Mirajoa is built on their flesh and blood, but all this is unknown to people. People can only see the bright and beautiful appearance here. King Hanberg of Balewood Kingdom has arrived. Queen Menglua Lang of Taji Kingdom has arrived. King Umaibing of Shiksha Kingdom has arrived. 50 kings took their seats in the King's Council of Mary Gi's. This was the place that the King of Woka Kingdom had been trying to get into. Around the huge round table, they began to discuss one thing after another. You people from the Kingdom of Flowers are very rude. That King Jio seems to be looking for something everywhere. That was not my order. It was entirely his own decision. The King of the Kingdom of Flowers communicated with another king. This was a world conference. The conflicts that occurred here might even lead to war after returning home. So even if they had opinions about the other party's behavior, they were just discussing it. Don't talk about those insignificant things. I heard that a rebellion broke out around Frevens. Those people called themselves the Revolutionary Army. It's just a rebellion. It's nothing. It's just a few small countries. Is it necessary to talk about it now? That's right. Let's move on to the next topic. The leader of the meeting skipped this topic. The 50 kings would take turns to be the leaders, and the topics discussed were also the proposals submitted by each king in advance. In their eyes, the Revolutionary Army today is just an ordinary rebellion. At this time, they don't understand the word revolution, nor do they realize how much impact the Revolutionary Army will bring. There have been more and more pirates in recent years. How are you doing? Fortunately, we haven't been affected. We are not very good. The location is too bad. The protection of the navy is not enough. I heard that Alabasta has a good environment because of the 7 warlords of the sea. At this time, Crocodile had come to Alabasta based on various news. As one of the 7 warlords of the sea, he has the right to stay in the territory of the member countries as long as he does not attack the member countries. And for his future goals, Crocodile is building his own reputation. He is now fighting pirates every day. The desert environment is his natural home ground. He has fought in the New World. Even if he has lost the power of the heart, he is not something that those rookies who have just entered the Grand Line can deal with. For a while, Alabasta was surprisingly calm, and Crocodile almost became a hero in the kingdom. Some kings even thought this was a good thing. While they were discussing this topic, the 5 elders in Mirajoa were also discussing the same topic. There are more and more pirates, and there is still only one of the 7 warlords of the sea. This organization should be completed. Beasts, Whitebird, Big Mom, these guys are getting more and more influential, especially Beasts. Is it really okay to let them develop? It's just a company, it can't cause any waves. Aren't pirates willing to do business like this much better than simple chaos? The matter of Frevens shows that these people know how to advance and retreat. They occupied Wano country, and the secret should be sealed down there. If they are there, other pirates can't get there. Several of the 5 elders talked about this matter one by one, but in their opinion, the so-called Emperor of the Sea was just making a small fuss. The navy seems to be a bit overextended, and the 3 natural ability users have caused some of their actions to cross the line. So I've said that the system of the 7 warlords of the sea should be completed. What do you think? Jikiko Moria, who fought Kaido and escaped unscathed. I think he is a good choice, and his ability is acceptable. Navy Hunter, that guy made the navy lose a lot of face, and I heard that his swordsmanship is very powerful. Sometimes recommending books is a kind of interpersonal communication. If you are not satisfied, please bear with me. I can't reply to comments. The big silence spell will probably last for another week. Chapter 433, Empty Throne, Strange Smile. The 7 warlords of the sea had a plan long ago, but the situation on the sea was not so complicated at that time, especially after Ox was just wiped out. The situation on the sea was exactly what they wanted to see. Chaos can divert contradictions and achieve the current goal of the world government. What they want is a special order under chaos, so that they can better distinguish their so-called classes. But with Roger's reign and the rise of monsters, the balance has been broken. The definition of the 7 warlords of the sea is to be better off without than to be unqualified. Although the navy has the right to deploy them, the 7 warlords of the sea do not belong to the navy, but are legal pirates with the world government's certification. They were selected to interfere with the order and balance on the sea, not to make people brush their reputation. This is also the reason why the world government wanted to eliminate Moria after his defeat in the original timeline. Because he was too embarrassed to be alive for the world government. Crocodile did a good job. From this point of view, it is indeed necessary to speed up the search for personnel. After a brief discussion, 2 places were selected. Moria and Mihawk. Moria was because of his battle with Kaido. As Kaido's reputation becomes more and more powerful, Moria, who fought with him, has also attracted some attention. However, Moria doesn't like this title very much. Having fought with Kaido, this description is a permanent scar in his heart. As for Mihawk, his most famous name now is not Hawkeye or the world's #1 swordsman, but the Navy Hunter. As a lone ranger, he does things according to his preferences. A bad mood can be a reason for him to hunt others. However, there has always been a rumor that anyone who sees him rowing will be hunted by him. Although he has a lot of navy blood on his hands, the world government doesn't care about this because he has enough reputation to deter some pirates and can also ring a warning bell for the navy to let them understand their status. After the discussion of these 5 people, the 2 bats left Mirajoa with special letters. Just like Morgan's trained a large number of news birds, the world government also has its own exclusive communication tool, Message Bat. This kind of bat will send the message according to the address and search for its own target. It has always been a good helper for them to pass messages internally. The 7 warlords of the sea, who have a great influence on the outside world, are just a few words to these people, and they are also not interested in the topic of the future development of the world discussed by the kings. That lord has not woken up. This is the best. The current situation is not what he wants to see, but whether to settle accounts is not up to us. Let's go. It's time to swear allegiance. The 5 people walked towards the most mysterious flower room in Mirajoa. They would do this every time the world conference was held. Even other kings would do the same thing, because there is a blank throne in Mirajoa, and no one has ever sat on it. The world government also insisted that no one could sit on it, because this throne represents the oath of equality between the kingdoms and never giving rise to dictatorship, and there are 20 weapons scattered around the throne, which are the weapons left by the original 20 kings. This throne is called a symbol of peace, and it also shows an idea of the world government, that there is no unique king in this world. However, only the real power holders, the 5 elders, know that it is not, that no one has ever sat on it, but that the owner of the throne is not here at this time. The World Conference will continue for a while. They will discuss many things once every 4 years, and some countries will even start marriages. Princesses and princes from many countries come here with their kings. Transportation and communication on the sea are not convenient. If it weren't for this world conference, there might be no chance to communicate in the future. To be one of the participants in the world conference, their country's national strength is also relatively strong among the member countries, so naturally they have to use this opportunity to reach some agreements. These agreements are likely to harm the interests of some countries that did not participate in the conference, but no one cares about this. Not to mention those countries. Even the 50 countries participating in the World Conference are not static. The 50 participating countries in the World Conference, a total of more than 170 member countries, plus some countries that want to join and are under investigation, together form the world government. The competition here is similar to the competition within the pirate group. If you want to get more benefits, you have to climb up. This is why the king of the kingdom of Woka was trying his best to participate in this conference. The revolutionary army is very dangerous. I think they should be wanted worldwide. This forces a contempt for the royal power. King Lucas, you are too cautious. It's just a rebellion. It's just that the outbreak of platinum and lead makes it difficult for them to deal with it. The Frevens incident will not happen again. There is no need to worry. Yes, even the special medicine has come out. What is there to be afraid of? Most kings think that there is nothing to be afraid of the revolutionary army, and they have missed the best opportunity to nip them in the bud. As for the special medicine, from the launch of the 100 Beasts fruit to the World Conference, this medicine has been widely circulated. After layers of drug testing, this medicine has been confirmed to be harmless and effective in vitro experiments. This medicine can indeed cause platinum and lead to change under certain circumstances, but this is not important because the platinum and lead in the outside world are not complicated to smelt or remove, but no one has studied the principle of this medicine to remove platinum and lead in the body, and the strange arrangement of carbon element has also become a new topic for many people. For example, Caesar, as the ability user of the gas fruit, is very interested in this structure, but the known scientific methods cannot explain this unscientific existence. In the end, Vegapunk even freed up some time, and body number 3 studied it for a while. Interesting idea. However, he did not give a conclusion, but just left such a comment. The progress of the World Conference is also related to the pirates. Many pirates are taking the opportunity to plan looting plans, and the navy has also expanded the scale of cruises. If something happens to the king on the way to the World Conference, they will lose face. On Onigashima, Yamato found a helmet from somewhere and put it on his head. There were holes on it specifically for the horns, because something very unreasonable happened today. Her morning exercise was cancelled this morning, while everyone else was training normally. This was too abnormal for her. She even saw Kaido, but Kaido just showed a meaningful smile and did nothing. Just this one action has made her nerves tense for several hours. Chapter 434 True Immersive Virtual Reality. According to common sense, a stick hitting, or a hot breath spraying, is a normal phenomenon. If the mood is good, it may be the baptism of the king's color or the air attack of the armed color. Yamato will not find these things strange. Only Kaido did nothing, which made her unacceptable. Because according to her cognition, Kaido would never do such a thing. It's okay for everyone to take a holiday, and she is the only one in class. How could he take a holiday by himself? Today is not a birthday. No one is sailing, and the instructor didn't say there are new courses. Yamato's exclusive characteristics. When facing Kaido, intelligence will be temporarily full, and no details will be missed. At this time, she was recalling the details, but she didn't find anything, which made her more panicked. This tension lasted until noon. When Mariah and others started their lunch break, she was still looking around vigilantly. Hey, do you even eat with your number 5? It's not number 5, it's kin number 6. Facing Alta's question, she first corrected the problem with the number of the mace. Ken 5.0 did not die suddenly, it just became unsuitable for Yamato as she grew up. It was the second mace to retire smoothly besides number 1. As for number 6, which inherited the will of number 5, it was enhanced in size and weight. I have a bad feeling now. My father would never do nothing. Well, that pervert is indeed not a normal person. Ulti rarely refuted her, and they reached a consensus that Kaido was a pervert. Under the high pressure, even her appetite was affected, and she only ate 5 adult portions of food. Yamato? Why are you so nervous? Godfather, don't you know that my father actually let me have a day off alone today? This is too abnormal. There must be a conspiracy. It was not until Arceus appeared that her nervous state was relaxed, but she was still alert to her surroundings, and her own observation haki was also released at full strength, trying to capture the breath of Kaido who might appear at any time. But it was useless. Her haki was far inferior to Kaido's haki. Kaido could always use a stronger haki to evade Yamato's perception and then give her a surprise attack. I know, I asked him to tell you that today is a day off. I went to prepare something and didn't have time. Didn't he tell you? He went to prepare a special trial for Yamato. Because it was more time consuming and he couldn't spare the time for the time being, he asked Kaido to tell Yamato. Kaido did tell Arceus what he said, but only half of it, which eventually caused Yamato to be nervous for a whole morning. Needless to say, Kaido did it on purpose. He knew that Yamato was very wary of him, so he took advantage of this and did not give any hints after giving the abnormal answer, which eventually led to this result. Why is it that I wasted my vacation in vain? Vacation time is always short, especially after wasting your own vacation. The feeling of heartache is hard to describe. In terms of thinking, she may never be as good as Kaido in her life, but Arceus did not give her time to think. Don't think about it. Come with me. This is a course specially prepared for you. This sentence was not pleasant to Yamato. Courses and training are completely different concepts. She has no interest in the so-called courses at all. Godfather, I think it's better to let my father give me some extra training. Let's forget about the classes. Don't worry, this time will definitely be more fun for you than the classes, but you'd better be mentally prepared. After all, I made an agreement with your father. What? If you succeed this time, the rest of the year will be holidays, but if you fail, you'll be ready to face his hellish special training. There is not much time left this year, but this agreement has successfully aroused her interest. In the face of holidays, she selectively ignored Kaido's hellish training and left with Arceus excitedly. As for Arceus and Kaido using her future as a promise, she did not refute it. She has become accustomed to this kind of authoritarian state. Under the leadership of Arceus, she came to the top of Fujiyama, which is the highest point in Wano country. On weekdays, the top of Fujiyama is hidden in the clouds and mist, and the outside world can't see the situation above. Even Yamato is the first time to climb Fujiyama. Godfather, why are you here? She is not afraid of the cold in the state of Dakao Zenshin. The severe cold here is no different from normal temperature for her. Because this is your new trial site. Following the direction of Arceus' gaze, she saw several stone slabs. In the past, those stone slabs were stored in Arceus' body. Unless he was creating new Pokemon, they would not appear in the outside world. But now, several stone slabs were stuck in the snow, 3 in the middle, 5 around, and a total of 8 stone slabs were outside. Your big mouth true god is only a part of the power. I told you before that this is a carrier. Whether you can withstand the full power depends on yourself. You should have some feelings after going out for such a trip. Now it's time for you to try it. Stand in the middle. Yamato came to the middle of the stone slab array according to Arceus' instructions and poked the stone slab curiously. Don't move around. Relax your mind, and what you will see next is your trial. Wait, Godfather, tell me what the trial is first. This time she didn't get a response because the stone slabs around her were already flashing with light, lightning, fire, and dragon power. The 3 powers directly brought her consciousness to a special space. The outer slabs were also activated at the same time, and the power that fused the slabs together stabilized. This was the unknown trial that Yamato could not get the answer to, a test of her ideal and reality. At this time, her consciousness had come to a unique space. Simply put, her game had changed from dodgeball and battle royale to virtual reality. It is a big project to breed a complete power of a divine beast, but it is much simpler to breed the power at the consciousness level first. Since he transformed the great god, he has been using the dragon slab to breed the consciousness of Zekrom and Reshiram. At this time, their consciousness is almost there. Because it is the power of divine beasts, their power is not simply given, but a fusion like the tailed beasts. Even if they are given energy, they have to be allowed to come to the world intact. This is a test for Yamato. If the state is suitable, then he will split a part of the consciousness and let them establish contact with Yamato first. If not, then continue to wait. When Yamato's consciousness opens his eyes, the surrounding environment has changed dramatically. Chapter 435, Dragon Space, Double Dragon Trial. The snow around her completely disappeared, and Arceus was nowhere to be seen. She found that she had left Fujiyama. There were ice crystals all around, and she seemed to appear in an ice cave. Following the flow of air, she walked out of the ice cave, and at this moment, she found herself in a brand new world. If she knew enough, she would understand that the name of this place should be Unova. Ulti? Why are you here? She seemed to see a familiar figure, but the only answer she got was a roar. It was not Ulti, but a real double-axed dragon. Roar. Ah. I'm not an intruder, don't get me wrong, I'll leave now. The power of Changpan made her understand what the double-axed dragon meant. She seemed to have invaded the other party's territory, and the double-axed dragon did nothing, just watching her leave. This is a special consciousness space constructed by the power of the slate. All operations in it are controlled by Arceus, which is why he didn't have time to inform Yamato before. This is a simulated virtual world. It is not only a test of strength, but also a test of the heart. Haki is the power of the heart. It can be said that this trial has also enhanced her haki to a certain extent. Although she came to a completely unfamiliar environment, she was not afraid. After all, Arceus had told her that this was a trial. The only thing he didn't tell her was the type of trial. What kind of trial is this? My godfather is so stupid. He didn't even tell me. She walked aimlessly in the forest. She didn't see anything except some Pokémon. She did get some news from the Pokémon, such as there was a human country outside, and they were fighting. At this time, the strange phenomenon in the sky caught her attention. Flames and lightning appeared alternately, and it seemed that someone was fighting there. Her intuition told her that it was related to her trial, so she ran over there. When she climbed over a hill, she found that this was the city mentioned by the Pokémon, and the two sides of the battle also revealed their true appearance. The height of each of them was about 10 meters. The two giant beasts, one black and one white, were colliding fiercely. Roar, roar. The white dragon spewed out a cross fireball, and the black dragon's body was wrapped in lightning, rushing straight towards the white dragon. The fireball was smashed, and the bodies of the two dragons, each wrapped in their own energy, crashed into each other. Boom. The two were evenly matched, but the aftermath destroyed most of the city below. Yamato's appearance seemed to trigger some scene CG, and she seemed to hear someone talking to her. Reshiram and Zekrom were once one, and they assisted the brother heroes to establish the Unova region, but because of the differences in the beliefs of the two heroes, the dragon was divided into two dragons. The two dragons were extremely disappointed that the two heroes had caused a war and wanted to destroy Unova. Girl, ideals, and reality are opposite and unified. They are two sides of the same coin. Choose the idea you agree with to prevent this tragedy. The topic that sounded like the background sound of the game appeared beside Yamato's ears, and a blonde woman appeared out of thin air beside her. Big sister, who are you? Do you know where my foster father is? Miss Yamato, you can call me Serona. I'm your novice guide. Please don't ask questions that are not related to the matter in front of you. Virtual reality games must have a novice guide. As for why Serona appeared in the Unova region, it was simply because Arceus was more impressed by this face. However, Yamato did not know that the game guide could also lie. For example, the guidance she received at this time was to choose a camp, but in fact, that was not the best way to pass the game. Is this the trial you mentioned? Kaido also appeared at the top of Fujiyama Mountain. Looking at Yamato standing still on the snow, he did not quite understand this kind of trial. Yes, but I won't be recognized for a while, but it's not without gain. That was the consciousness space he created. He himself was the administrator with the highest authority. Naturally, he knew what happened inside. He thought of many situations, but what happened now was different from what he expected. Zekrom believed that Yamato's idea was just naive and not ideal. Simple naivety could not build an ideal world. In Reshiram's view, Yamato lived in an inner world and did not understand what was real, so she was disliked by the two dragons at the same time. but at the same time as rejecting her, they all had a special emotion, because Yamato did not listen to the GM, but directly triggered the hidden option, wanting the two dragons to coexist. If she wants to restore the existence of Daolong, she must find the balance between ideal and reality. Although she cannot do this, she accidentally guessed the result. That flawless innocence reminded Xuanglong of everything in the beginning. When they first met the two brothers, they also had the same pure and simple concept. So she was in a stage where she was rejected by Xuanglong and examined by Xuanglong at the same time. We have known each other for so many years, don't beat around the bush. Did you win this time, or did I win? Point you won. She didn't achieve the goal I said. Yamato's hard days will come in the remaining month or so, but she has more time to relax this year, so there is no difference overall. When Yamato was kicked out of that space, she understood something when she saw Kaido's dangerous smile. Godfather, can I apply for a second try? Unfortunately, no. You can only pray for the best from now on. The slate was taken back into his body again. Yamato was taken away by Kaido, but she didn't notice that there was a black lightning and a white flame symbol on the back of her hands. It was the inspection mark from the black and white dragons. But after a moment, the two marks disappeared. According to the agreement between Arceus and Kaido, she did fail, but she also succeeded in a special place. Kaido flew to a deserted island outside Wano country, which was also a trial field for all beasts. He felt that the venue of Onigashima was a bit limited, so he planned to go out and have a big game. Many people in Wano country saw the figure of the giant dragon flying away from Wano country, but no one was afraid because they were used to it. In the past few years, everything in Wano country has been really good. The country is peaceful and the people are safe, but occasionally Kaido's laughter and some familiar screams can be heard. This custom is even regarded as a new tradition by the natives of Wano country, resulting in some strange variants of local dramas. Chapter 436, The Strange Carbon Cycle in Wano Country. Ziope, I think someone is going to be unlucky. Looking at Kaido flying in the sky, Ulti had this intuition, because during the time when Yamato and the others were out, as long as Kaido transformed, she and Page 1 would be unlucky. This situation was not relieved until Yamato returned to the country. She successfully attracted Kaido's attention. Since his return, Ulti and Page 1 have not encountered Kaido's death training. However, the original training has left enough shadows. Now Kaido's stress syndrome has a tendency to spread within the beast group. Sister, do you think there is a possibility that the unlucky person is me? Page 1's way of addressing Ulti has changed a lot in the past year or so. It has changed from sister to elder sister, big sister and other names, which naturally makes Ulti unhappy. Ziope, you have changed. You used to cling to me, but now you don't even want to call me sister. But sister, do you think there will be a sister who steps on her brother every day? Since coming to the beasts, he felt that Ulti had changed. Although the competition within the beasts was fierce, in the current environment, life safety is guaranteed. While the competition is fierce, their training often wanders on the edge of death, but it will not really endanger their lives. In this case, Ulti's brother control nature was exposed for the first time. Because she wanted to be with Peggy 1 in everything, and she was a bit rough, it led to the current situation. The double axe war dragon is powerful in close combat, and the sharp axe teeth have surpassed most famous swords, but in many aspects she is not as good as Peggy 1's Lebite land shark, such as she can't fly or burrow into the ground. But this doesn't have a big impact on her, because Peggy 1 can fly, she can ride Peggy 1, so she can also fly. This was her purpose of taking care of Peggy 1 back then, but now it has been achieved in advance. Under Kaido's death teaching, Page 1 has mastered flying. This is similar to riding a bicycle. Although it is very laborious to ride before learning, as long as you succeed once and remember the feeling, it will not be a problem afterwards. After mastering flying, he started the second process, digging holes. As the name suggests, Garchomp is a shark on land. Compared with the sky, the earth is the home of Garchomp. An adult Garchomp can dig a cave underground at a very fast speed. Now Page 1 is training this ability. Hey, don't be lazy, you two. There is still a lot of land ahead. Quinn's urging voice came from behind. Page 1 must not train on the roof of Onigashima to train digging holes. Asking him to dig holes is not asking him to demolish a building, so he was borrowed by Quinn. He just wanted to open up a winter plantation, but now the temperature in Wano country has begun to drop. The land has become a little hard, and it is very slow to open up manpower, so he targeted Page 1 who was training underground sneaking. The crooked marks on the ground are proof of Page 1's training. He still has some loopholes in his grasp of Garcomp's body, and has not yet mastered the skill of distinguishing directions underground. At this time, Alta's role is reflected. Carrying weights and directions, and holding a bag of seeds in her hand. It is not certain whether it will help Page 1's training, but she really has a lot of fun. Near the end of the year, the temperature in Wano country has begun to drop, and even the trees in Kiri have begun to wither and turn yellow, not to mention Linghao, who was already covered with snow. However, Wano country has changed a lot this year. In the past, their way of keeping warm in winter was to cut down trees, but now Wano country has reclaimed a lot of arable land and orchards. The remaining trees are green plants left for the environment and cannot be mined at will, so there is another Pokemon on the streets of Wano country. Big Tankard, a coal Pokemon, is the evolution of Little Tankard. Compared with Little Tankard, Big Tankard can provide more coal, and compared with the more bulky Giant Tankard, Big Tankard's body is more flexible. The appearance of the big charcoal cart looks like a small cart transporting coal. A large amount of coal is concentrated on its back, and hot air will come out when its mouth opens. It is made of rocks all over. As a Pokemon with fire and rock attributes, the big charcoal cart can make coal in its body. In the Galar region, people there used to live on the coal that fell from the big charcoal cart. It is the same in Wano country at this time. At this season, the big charcoal cart has appeared on the streets. They will stop in front of the yard that has paid the carbon tax, then shake their bodies, leave enough coal for them to use, and then continue to move forward. For the people of Wano country, this is the same as paying heating fees in winter. Adequate jobs allow them to have extra money in their hands, and this money is naturally available. For example, Kintaro's family in Kiri. At this time, he has established a new family, and has become the owner of a purchasing station as he wished. Looking at the big charcoal cart that began to deliver charcoal everywhere, Kintaro also began to replace the new chimney. Pay attention to the ventilation of the house when burning charcoal. People in Wano country still know this principle, so the reserved chimney position can be seen on their houses. At this season, even the activities of the Galar double gas have expanded. They float in the air, filtering the air of Wano country, and maintaining the air quality here. In winter, the double gas floating in the sky has become a unique landscape of Wano country. They are not opposed to this kind of work, because for the Galar double gas, it is just a change of restaurant, and the exhaust gas released after the coal dropped by the big charcoal car is always one of their favorite foods. The coal delivery work of the big charcoal car is still going on. Their leg structure is very special. They can rotate like wheels, and the fastest speed can reach 30 km per hour. The disadvantage is that their legs are relatively short, and the snow behind them almost blocks their way forward. So the big charcoal cars also started their own road clearing work. Flames spewed out of their mouths, and the snow vaporized under the burning of the flames, soon revealing the ground below, and then they began to deliver coal along the route they cleared. The exhaust gas from the big charcoal cart and the exhaust gas from coal combustion became the new food for the double bomb gas. After eating and drinking, the gas generated by the double bomb gas was turned into chemical agents by Quinn, from which he extracted special perfume materials. These materials made new perfumes, which were sold through the white beast fruit in exchange for money, and the money was used to purchase the food needed by the big charcoal cart. A circular project thus appeared in the country of Wano. Chapter 437, 8 million Pokemon grass-headed god. Double bomb gas and gas bombs are scattered in the air. Their feeding time is very irregular, but this is their unique rule, and they have a special status in Wano country. In summer, there are always people who drown while swimming in the wild, and in winter, there are often people who suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning. Even repeated warnings are bound to cause problems, and there are always people who will try it with an indifferent attitude. For example, in order to be warmer, you turn off the exhaust vent, thinking that nothing will happen if you open it immediately, but when something goes wrong, it is too late. However, the Gala double bomb gas that feeds on harmful gases can find the accident. For them, it is like a cooking kitchen that has inexplicably closed down, so their foraging behavior also indirectly discovered some carbon monoxide poisoning behaviors. This has led to a brand new situation. Due to the national conditions of Wano country, there are a lot of gods here, not to mention mountain gods and river gods. Even stools can become gods. The objects of worship in each household are sometimes different. Families that survived the disaster because of the double bomb gas put the double bomb gas and gas bombs on the altar and worshipped them as some local gods. They appeared in the vision of the residents of Wano country almost at the same time as coal heating, and they achieved a good status in their first appearance. Similar situations happen from time to time. There is even a stone statue of Squirtle outside the fireworks workshop to ensure safety. They seem to think that this can reduce the frequency of fires, but this is just psychological comfort. If you don't pay attention, it will still explode. From this, it can be seen that pragmatism is also very popular in Wano country, which eventually led to the gradual deification of Pokemon with magical powers, and this also facilitated some of Misu's behaviors. After the press conference on Tesoro's side, Misu had already returned to Onigashima by boat and opened an orphanage in Beiwu. Since the entrance to the submerged port is in Beiwu, it has become an area that is focused on bile beasts, and various facilities are rapidly popularizing. In addition to taking care of Lamy, the most thing Misu does is to preach. She can't reach far places for the time being, but Wano country also has a large population. Therefore, Misu's short-term goal is to pass on the blessings of God at the feet of God, so that these people can become believers of Arceus. As for the pirates and the beasts pirates, they don't have to work hard to preach. Although there are few members like her who became fanatics in a short time, they already have a sense of worship for Arceus. Misu's priority is to preach to those who have a good impression of Pokemon, because in her cognition, Pokemon is the creation of God. Since they are willing to worship those creations, they should naturally accept the creator behind them. This year's Wano country is colder than usual. Even the flower capital has begun to snow. The streets were covered with snow overnight. Only the passage opened by the big charcoal car can still see the road surface. Following these traces, nearby residents also began to clean up the snow. Now is the slack season for farming. They either go to work in the factory or go to a prosperous place like the flower capital to find something to do. Higuro also took a broom and silently dealt with the snow at the door, but there was an envelope in the mailbox at his door. Who would do so many things? His identity has become the former gangster boss of Flower City. It's not that he retired voluntarily, but the current beasts do not allow the existence of gangs under their order. Either they legalize, do some small business, or join other beasts organizations, or they refuse to repent and are sent to mine. In this case, Higuro will naturally not insist on making trouble. His men have become the civilian rescue organization of Flower City under his leadership. Now many of them are sweeping snow on the streets. It is a good thing that these people are willing to settle down, so part of the tax revenue in Wano country is allocated to Higuro, just as if he hired a property manager. Many people know his home address, so most people who come to him knock on the door directly. He doesn't know any distant relatives, so naturally no one writes to him. What's wrong, soldier? What are you reading? Someone wrote a letter. Is it Kajiro? His wife saw him standing at the door with a broom and asked in confusion. At this time, Higuro saw that the signature on the envelope was Kajiro. This kid hasn't been here for half a year, right? I thought you guys had a quarrel. What are you talking about? Didn't he come here before he left? He told you in person that he had to go out to do something. What's going to take so long? Hurry up and open it and see what he wrote. Her understanding was Wano country, because since she was born, she had never seen what was outside the barrier of Wano country. Kazuki Oden could use his identity to get rid of the guards of the submerged port and try to go out to sea by himself. But ordinary people don't have this ability. To her, Wano country is everything to her, and no matter how many things there are in Wano country, they can be done in 1 or 2 months. She doesn't understand how big this world is. Don't worry, it seems to be quite thick. Okay, you don't have to worry. This kid is living a good life. After opening the envelope, he found something like a postcard inside, and the photo on the top was a photo of him and a group of mermaid shop assistants. There are so many mermaids. Is he going to the palace of the Dragon King? Are those strange people guards? Mermaids are the name for mermaids in Wano country. Before this, she always thought that they were just legendary creatures. The letter said that it was Fishman Island. It seems that there is nothing wrong with saying it is Dragon Palace. After all, the name of that country is the Kingdom of Dragon Palace. He said he will be back in a few months and will come to see us then. Not only here, the old servant in Kagero's family also received Kagero's letter. Although he still has things to do, it is no problem to send the letter back by borrowing someone else's ship. Those are the photos he took in Fishman Island during this period. Now it can be regarded as letting those who have never been out to see it. Today's Wano country is no longer in a completely blocked state. Members who join the 100 Beasts have the opportunity to go abroad, but hundreds of years of blockade have made many people accustomed to the closed environment and do not want to easily set foot on the open sea. Just as Hyogoro and his partner were browsing the things Kagero had sent back, a group of samurai-looking people suddenly ran past on the street outside. They were the Shinsengumi, the security force inside Wano. The leader was an older man who was originally a pirate of the beasts, but after his health deteriorated, he moved to the inner circle. In front of him was a black wolfhound looking for something. Chapter 438, The Helplessness of Puppets, Using Super Magic to Fight Magic. Pochi, is it here? Woo, a big dog over 1 meter tall sniffed the traces below, and then gave a positive answer. It looked no different from an ordinary wolf dog, with grey and black colors, 2 unusually obvious black hairs on its back, and a pair of slightly ferocious red eyes. Biting the Pokemon Great Wolfhound, now equipped with a large number of Pokemon in the domestic security forces of the country, and they are now catching thieves. The weather is cold, not only more people go out to work, but some idle people also start to act. Human beings are a group. No matter how beautiful a place is, there will be stains. There may be good people among the evil people. It's just a matter of probability. The probability of finding good people among the evil people is very slim. Following the pace of the big wolfhound, they continued to chase forward. There was only one big wolfhound in a group of 4 or 5 people. It was not because there were not enough big wolfhounds, but because only the leading pirate was recognized by a big wolfhound. The big wolfhounds are very wild, and it is not easy to tame them, but after taming, the big wolfhounds will strictly follow the orders of their trainers. At this time, they were tracking the target by following the breath left by the other party. Although the heavy snow covered his footsteps, he still left his own breath. Starting from the flower capital, the wolfhound led them to the bridge leading to Linghao, and the snow here also left the footprints of other wolfhounds. Awoo. The wolfhound called Pochi raised his head and howled, and the responses came from all around. The wolfhound species itself is a social animal like wolves, and 10 is the most ideal team number. This number can maximize the team's efficiency, whether it is hunting or anything else, and they play the role of police dogs in the security team. Pochi is the captain of the police dog. This howl is it to obtain information from its own kind. According to the feedback from the call, Pochi quickly led the security team to block the thief in a snow cave. This is a corner of the changes in public security in Wano now. These petty thieves will be caught soon. The diving port is heavily guarded, and ordinary people can't get out at all. The giant carp under the waterfall is not a decoration. Because the environment in the outer sea of Wano country is too comfortable, the evolution speed of these Magikarp is much slower than that of the outer sea. Their descendants have evolved into many Gyarados, but they are still huge. In the limited area of Wano country, these people will be caught sooner or later. In the flower capital, Wano country General Hiyori Kazuki also woke up from his sleep, dressed neatly with the service of many people, and started a new day. Jin followed his original words. In the palace, she is the pinnacle of power, but her orders cannot be heard in the flower capital at all. In addition to acting as a mascot in the annual sacrificial activities, the influence of the Kazuki family in Wano country has reached the lowest level in history. Hiyori-sama. Go down. I want to be alone for a while. Yes. The two maids retreated respectfully, leaving her alone in the room. She gained some power, but also lost her freedom. If she wanted to leave the palace, she needed Jin's approval. If she met him in a bad mood, then everyone in the palace would be scared. Jin had a bad reputation in the palace, and the concept that was established at the beginning was also slowly affecting her. Why Momonosuke would be sent to the future, and she could only stay here. Although Kazuki was worried about being killed in the same pot, she could not understand this at the moment. While she was thinking about her life, the maid who left came to Jin and reported the situation of Kazuki Hiyori in detail. In recent years, there have been more people in the palace. Although these people are respectful to Hiyori on the surface, they only obey Jin's arrangements behind the scenes. And these people have one thing in common: their surname is Kurazumi. Kurazumi Orochi took a big pot. All the infamy was left in the blood of the Kurazumi family because of him, and the rebellion of the Kurazumi family. The new and old accounts were turned over together, and Kurazumi was called for by everyone in Wano country. Even if some people are just distant branches, they will still be discriminated against, especially those old and young people who are still loyal to Kazuki in their bones. The surname of Kuritan made it difficult for them to survive in Wano country. In this case, in order to survive, some people of the Kuritan family made a choice, that is, to completely surrender to the beasts. Such people entered the palace of the flower capital in large numbers, gradually disappeared from the sight of ordinary people in Wano country, and formed a trend of confrontation with the old retainers loyal to the Kazuki family in the palace. The original retainers of the Kazuki family also lived nearby. According to the rules, they had to apply if they wanted to see Hiyori. Although it was not necessary to apply for an application 3 days in advance and get a reply within a week, they still had to agree verbally. For example, the one who came here today was Kikunojo, and Korematsu and Injiro were forced to perform tasks outside. Kaido gave them a chance to change the status quo by choosing to surrender, but they were unwilling to do so. This is also the case with Dinjiro now. Because of many changes, Kaishiro did not appear, and he had no chance to hide his identity, so he did not want to pretend to surrender. Zyaju, are you here today? Please stay away from me. Don't be so shy. My sister is not afraid of you, so why should you be afraid? If you don't come over like this, I won't report the news to you. Dad said that magic should be used to defeat magic. Transgenderists are such a product, and to deal with the transgenderist, you need to use more powerful magic, such as unreasonable female hooligans. There are many such people in the pirate group, such as the woman in front of Kikunojo, Jin's deputy, Drake. A girl with pink pigtails and a scar on her face, but she doesn't care about this at all, and is still playing hooligan to Kikunojo. His pretty face is still attractive to women. For example, Drake fell in love with him, but this is a little difficult for someone who thinks he is a woman. Most of the deputies in the beasts are of the same gender, because this makes many things more convenient, such as Emmeline who follows Shaina and Pearman who follows Manderfish. Jin is the only exception at the moment. The carefree Drake gets along very well with him, and even exchanges some of his experiences in interrogation with Jin. In a semi-coerced state, Kikunojo was taken advantage of by Drake to get the opportunity to meet Hiyori, but for some reason, he feels that as Hiyori grows up, the smile on his face has become less. At the same time, on the small sky island, several O'Hara scholars are excitedly looking at an egg in front of them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439 Hatched Tearful Lizard. It's hatched. It's finally going to hatch. No wonder the basilisk lizards are extinct outside. This hatching speed requires too much safety. Looking at the eggs that began to shake in the incubator, the two scholars seemed extremely excited. But don't you think it's a bit strange? The basilisk lizards have evolved the ability of parthenogenesis in order to reproduce. Why is the hatching period so long? This is different from the previous records. The data may be wrong, but what is happening in front of us is the fact. It is better to believe the data from more than 200 years ago, or your own eyes. I don't need to teach you this. Several paleontologists are discussing this issue. In fact, paleontology research is a very strange subject in the pirate world because the creatures that are extinct on this island may become the same as invasive species on another island. So here there is a professional term for paleontology in the archaeological community: resurrection. This term is not for anything else but to cover up their own mistakes. Otherwise, if they publish a paper saying that a certain creature has become extinct and it is found to be wrong the next day, they will be very embarrassed. Thus, a word to avoid mistakes was born. However, what happened to Elizabeth's egg was beyond their cognition. The egg had been incubated for more than 3 years, and even if it was hatched alone, it had been more than a year. It was the first time they saw reptiles breed so slowly. Even Nessa should have hatched by now. A crack soon appeared on the eggshell, and Robin began to observe the egg. Yamato was also there to join in the fun, but now she had a plaster cast on her arm, which obviously had gone wrong during the training. For ordinary people, it takes 100 days to heal a broken bone, but for her, a week was already a serious injury. A mere fracture would take 3 or 4 days to recover, and the plaster cast was just to prevent accidents. It's so slow, can't you help it open the eggshell? Don't do that easily, unless you have to, otherwise you'll hurt it. The first step for oviparous animals is to break their own eggshells, but it's not completely impossible to help. If you really encounter a creature that is unable to open the eggshell, you can still apply external force. But now it was totally unnecessary, because a little hand had already broken the eggshell, and the eggshell on the top of the head was soon pushed open. But the 2 scholars were stunned when they saw the hatched creature. Is this a basilisk? It doesn't look like it, and it doesn't look like Elizabeth's either. What on earth is this hatched? Looking at the round-headed creature that was hatched, the 2 scholars showed puzzled expressions. The yellow fins on the head made them even more confused about what it was. And this was the reason why it hatched slowly, because it was not a purebred basilisk lizard, but a tearful lizard born after being affected by the power of the Thousand Faces chameleon. As the initial form of the Thousand Faces chameleon, the tearful lizard can be said to have nothing in common with the Thousand Faces chameleon. To exaggerate, it can even be said that it is completely unrelated. It is definitely impossible to understand it according to the normal biological research method. Robin, who was holding the little notebook, understood something. She did not stop her exploration of Pokemon. With the source of Elizabeth's own power, she soon figured it out. The newly born tearful lizard quickly stood up, looking outside with tears in its big eyes. If it was an ordinary creature, they would not take it out of the incubator immediately, but Robin had seen the birth of other Pokemon. As long as there were no congenital diseases, most of these Pokemon could adapt to the current situation quickly, so she took it out. Robin, it seems to treat you as its mother. At this time, the tearful lizard could not fully express its meaning, but the power of Evergreen was the power to feel the other person's thoughts from the heart, so Yamato could sense the meaning of the tearful lizard. This is in line with the characteristics of oviparous animals. It seems that they still have some commonality. There are also doctors who are curious about Pokemon. Quintero can give birth to a mutant second generation Wagyu with ordinary cattle. This is a topic studied by some scholars in Sky Island. However, there are very few such scholars. After all, most of them are historians, and only a few who study paleontology have become interested. One of the scholars wanted to pick up the tearful lizard because of curiosity, and then an accident occurred. The tearful lizard suddenly began to cry, and a lot of tears flowed from the corners of its eyes. It is called the tearful lizard because it loves to cry. At this time, a large amount of tears splashed out. A scholar was unfortunately splashed into the eyes by tears, and then a sense of irritation came from his eyes. Ah, what is this? My eyes. His eyes began to shed tears uncontrollably. That is the characteristic of the tearful lizard's tears, a super effective tear gas. Just one drop of tears is equivalent to 100 onions. You can imagine how irritated he was at this time. Under the leadership of his companions, he hurried to find clean water to rinse, and when Robin wiped the body of the tearful lizard with a wet cloth, he also found a very special point. Its skin will become transparent as long as it comes into contact with water, just like invisible. This special skin is a reason why it can be invisible after evolution, but now it will not actively control this ability. Logically speaking, Elizabeth is the most suitable lizard to lead the tearful lizard to grow up. She is not only the biological mother of this tearful lizard, but also a creature with similar abilities. But Elizabeth is not interested in this. She doesn't seem to like children very much, and she is not on Ghost Island now, so this tearful lizard temporarily fell into Robin's hands, and that appearance just hit her cute spot. As for Elizabeth herself, she and Alga were in the Sabaody archipelago at this time. The 9 snakes had passed some news to her, and she came here for this matter. According to the original plan, this matter was not urgent, and Hancock had a few years, but the fact that the beasts were not in a hurry did not mean that others were not in a hurry. In order to meet Olga in advance, Hancock forced the progress of things, and she really did it. In more than half a year, she had passed the internal assessment, and became the contemporary emperor of Amazon Lily, the new captain of the 9 Snakes pirates, and started the follow-up plan. There was no opposition to her becoming the new emperor within the 9 snakes, because she was strong enough. This is a feature of the pirate kingdom. The leader's intelligence can be slightly worse, which can be compensated by others, but the leader's strength must not be weak, otherwise the lack of high-end combat power will cause big problems for the pirate group. At this time on the Perfume Serpent, looking at Hancock's excitement, Guerrilla felt very complicated. She could understand this emotion, but she also felt pressure for the future. Chapter 440, 9 Snakes Gift, Sasuke's Ambition. Love is like a storm. This is a widely circulated saying within Amazon Lily, and many emperors of Amazon Lily died of love sickness. Guerrilla almost fell ill that year, but she did not stay in Amazon Lily. Although she is now just a hunchbacked old lady, she was also the strongest warrior of the 9 Snakes generation when she was young. So she left the 9 snakes during her reign, which was part of her fault. From then on, she has been silently assisting the emperor of the 9 snakes, and Zayaki has to call her a senior. The 9 snakes also need to breed offspring, so love is not prohibited within the organization. The love problem of each generation of emperors is a top priority. Now Hancock's situation is a good thing, at least her survival rate will be greatly increased. She still remembers Hancock's recent record. After several months of development, most of the abilities of the sweet fruit have been mastered by Hancock. Hard work is important, but talent is equally important. When 2 people make equal efforts, the one with higher talent must make faster progress. Time is limited. Efforts can achieve qualitative changes, but those with outstanding talents also have a higher upper limit. Otherwise, the various forces would not have to look for monsters with outstanding talents. When they were young, Kaido and Charlotte Lin were both favored by the world government and the navy, but the result was not what they wanted. If Kaido was successfully sent to the navy by the kingdom of Woka, and he also joined the navy, and Charlotte Lin became an agent of the world government under the abduction of Carmelo, they would probably become the new double wall. In the martial arts arena, she faced the elite warriors of Amazon Lily, who were formal members of the 9 Snakes Pirates. Hancock did not even let her 2 sisters assist her, and defeated everyone alone, and twice. Once she used the power of the fruit, and once she used domineering and physical skills. The 2 battles convinced them, and she directly became the new emperor of the 9 snakes. Then they began to hunt the 9 snakes, and the target was the rising star near Shampoo. In the past few months, Fishman Island has become surprisingly peaceful, and few pirates have come, because 90% of the pirates have been turned into stone statues by her. That was a welcome gift for the navy. In the original timeline, Eluonenka could exchange the hearts of 100 pirates for the position of Shichibuke. Although those pirates were a bit watered down, they were generally worth tens of millions. Even in the era of exploding bounties, this number showed his attitude. In this era, the implication of Hancock's actions is even more obvious. When the statues were sent to the navy, they didn't believe it at first, and it was only after Hancock's ability was lifted that they confirmed it. And Alga's appearance today is to add fuel to the fire. The specific content is also very simple. When the navy meets with the 9 snakes, she will attack the navy. As long as she doesn't encounter the admiral and some vice admirals of the headquarters, a single warship can't do anything to her. At that time, she will retreat under the attack of the 9 snakes, and the matter will be over. Hancock, Hancock. Stop being in a daze. Don't reveal your flaws in front of the Navy. It doesn't matter. If they are really discovered, why don't the 9 snakes just move away? No. This needs to be observed. Hancock. This is a matter for the entire country. We can't act arbitrarily. Yes, I know. Come on, take your mother-in-law away. Although her personality is a little better now, she no longer says that her concubine is too beautiful and will be forgiven for anything she does. This sentence is now used by her to the outside world, usually to highlight her status. But her nature is still here. It is a great improvement to be able to listen to Girelius's nagging. Yes, Lord Snake Princess. After she became the Emperor of the 9 Snakes, Snake Princess became her honorific title, and the 9 snakes were not a certain ninja village. As long as the new emperor passed the test and took office, it meant that she had obtained all the power. Even the previous emperors only had the right to make suggestions. If they could not convince the current emperor, their opinions would not be implemented. So at Hancock's request, Girelius was quickly taken out by 2 warriors. Let's go. The perfume serpent headed for the agreed location, which was the location they agreed with the Navy. A person who took the initiative to ask for the position of Shichibukai did arouse the interest of the Navy. In this era of pirates, what they need is a force like this to strike other pirates. The 9 Snakes were also a veteran pirate group in the first half of the Grand Line, and they also had their own reputation. If the 9 Snakes Emperor of this generation is really strong enough, then this position can be given. The Vice Admiral on the Navy ship this time also has a hidden mission. If the opponent really has that strength, then give the position of Shichibukai to the opponent. If the opponent's strength is not enough, then let the 9 Snakes pirate group become history. The Vice Admiral leading the Navy this time is Vice Admiral Gumiya, the highest commander of the G2 fortress. Gumiya, who is not bald yet, is also a veteran Vice Admiral of the Navy. Compared with those newly promoted Vice Admirals, his strength is more stable. Put away everything on the deck and prepare for the bombardment. Be careful to avoid being accidentally injured. The perfume serpent was making preparations in advance, otherwise Olga's appearance at the meeting place and the single attack on the Navy would easily cause some misunderstandings, which would likely lead to the failure of the plan. So when the time comes, it will be an indiscriminate attack. This is something that has been discussed in advance, but there will only be a few rounds, and the subsequent shells will become phantom shells. At this time, they are making preparations. For example, change the paint of the ship to indicate the specific location of the ammunition depot to prevent it from being hit. In the nearby waters, there is another pirate ship sailing. There is a pair of wings painted on the sails, and it is also a new pirate this year. Captain Sasaki, we will soon reach the Sabaody archipelago. The navigator on the ship gave an answer while looking at the fluctuations of the recording pointer, and Sasaki was also a little excited about it. Very good, guys, hold on for a few more days. We will definitely be able to join the beasts. Some people's goals were set long before they sailed. For example, Sasaki chose to be a pirate because he was attracted by Kaido. He wanted to join Kaido and become a member of the beasts. Originally, his goal was to become a subordinate pirate group of the beasts, but not long ago, his ambition swelled because after defeating a group of pirates, he found a hexagonal stone slab in the treasure on the other party's ship. With the goal of joining the beasts, he naturally recognized what it was. Looking at the stone slab that was cut without any traces, he knew that his chance had come. Chapter 441 Kaido's fanatic fan. Brother Sasaki, is this thing really useful? The younger brothers were a little skeptical about what their captain said, and they were also looking at the irregular hexagonal stone. It was wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, and it looked ordinary, but Sasaki said that such a stone could be used as a gift. A gift is an indispensable thing when pirates meet each other. According to the status difference of the two pirate groups, the specifications of the gift are also different. The most common thing for pirates of the same level to meet is wine. People have different preferences, but there are almost no pirates who don't drink, so fine wine produced from all over the world has become the hard currency for pirates to meet. The situation is different for people like Sasaki who want to join the other party. Today's 100 beasts is no longer the 100 beasts of the past. The original 100 Beasts pirates only had Kaido as a lone commander. Quinn met by chance in the laboratory, and Jin was also rescued from there. To be precise, most of the current high-level people of the 100 Beasts have a lot to do with that laboratory. That was his original base. The younger brothers that followed were also recruited after he was defeated, and then the territory was expanded little by little, entering Wano country and laying the foundation for the current Beasts pirates. After that, except for some children who were brought back by the members on the way out, the way of recruiting members of the Beasts had changed, and it was not possible to join just because you wanted to. It was easy to become an affiliated pirate group, but if you wanted to join directly, you either had a dazzling record or a very important gift. The dazzling record was basically impossible for the pirates in the first half, not even the so-called supernovas. The popularity of domineering in the first half of the Grand Line was very low. Before entering the New World for training, even if they offered a bounty of over 100 million, they were just ordinary fighters in the eyes of the big pirates in the New World. Even those from the worst generation were chased everywhere when they first entered the New World, and the unique climate of the New World almost took the lives of some people. Sasuke knew that his strength would not be valued by the other party for the time being, so the gift was particularly important. Although his bounty is enough to become an affiliated pirate group, he is similar to Bartolomea in one respect. Just as Bartolomea is a fanatic fan of Luffy, Sasuke is a fan of Kaido, and he only likes Kaido. The information obtained from the newspaper gave him some understanding of some of Kaido's preferences, such as the wine he prepared in the cabin, and drinking with Kaido is what he wants to do most. Of course, the Beasts have always had a bounty for this kind of stone. I heard that it is to build an indestructible armor. Anyway, this thing will make the Beasts accept us as an exception. Speed up, I can't wait any longer. Wait a minute. Boss Sasuke, there is something going on. The lookout on the flagpole suddenly shouted to Sasuke, as if he had discovered some incredible news. What's wrong? There are ships fighting ahead. One ship is flying the flag of the Beasts. Hearing this, Sasuke came to the top of the flagpole in a few steps, and even his men didn't notice how his captain got up. Give me the telescope. Grabbing the telescope from his subordinate, Sasuke's mouth corners rose even more. He was originally thinking about how to approach the other party without causing disgust. Having a suitable gift is one thing, and how to give the gift is another. Now, the opportunity has come. Start the foreign ship and rush over at full speed. The little ones, what position you consider in the future depends on today. Sasuke was born in the 7 waters of the Grand Line, which is a region with an extremely developed shipbuilding industry. Because of his admiration for Kaido, he embarked on the road of pirates, so the quality of his ships is much better than that of ordinary pirates. This is also the money he saved when he was a pirate hunter to buy a ship. The 7 waters is not an ordinary shipyard. In addition to the advanced shipbuilding technology, the shipbuilders are also top-notch. According to his order, Sasuke's ship began to speed up. Not long ago, the meeting between the perfume serpent and the navy was not particularly pleasant. Hancock stepped on the body of the snake and came to the warship. In an instant, she was greeted by the eyes of a group of navy officers, and at the same time, there was the sound of bullets being loaded. Shianshingan Feng Boa Hancock. What are you doing? Looking at the large number of navy officers who turned into stone statues around him, Gumiya questioned Hancock. There was a lot of coffee powder at the corners of his mouth. He had the habit of drinking coffee, but the specialty near the G2 branch was bitter coffee. He just stuffed a bag of concentrated bitter coffee powder into his mouth to divert the attention. Hancock's fruit development time was not enough, and it was more difficult to petrify these people with stronger strength, who let their eyes look around. I just taught them a lesson, and you will forgive me, right? Because I'm so beautiful. The Navy wanted to test her strength, and she was also giving the Navy a warning. The 7 warlords of the sea sounded like a good position, not to be wanted, and to plunder legally, but this position was not that simple. Many pirates regard the 7 warlords of the sea as the running dogs of the world government, and the Navy also regards the 7 warlords of the sea as scum and consumables. If they don't show their skills, they will have a hard time in the future. No problem. No. Hurry up and change them back for me. The blade has been unsheathed, and Gumiya's eyes have become dangerous. This fruit ability is particularly useful when facing a large number of enemies. Only a few people can rely on domineering to resist the influence of the fruit. If the strength is not enough, even if you have domineering, you can't withstand the opponent's attack. Gumiya is a veteran vice admiral after all, so he won't lose his combat effectiveness directly. When I'm in a good mood, your blade makes me feel very uncomfortable. I advise the vice admiral to calm down. If something happens to me, even if you can find the fruit of regeneration, the next person with the ability will not be able to remove my petrification. Is this your attitude? It was you who took the initiative to propose the deal with the 7 warlords of the sea. That being said, it is not etiquette to point a gun at someone. Where is the invitation letter from the 7 warlords of the sea? Hancock's strength also gave Gumiya a deeper understanding, so he took out the invitation letter from the 7 warlords of the sea from the world government. Can we remove their petrification now? Snake Princess, Snake Princess. Hancock hadn't replied yet, but Girelius behind her had already jumped and signaled to her. Now that the plan has almost been achieved, she thought it would be better to end it quickly. At this time, the sound of gliding shells was heard in the air, and everything was as planned. 2 updates today: go out to stock up, and make up for the plot. Chapter 442. Why should I listen to you? Victorian, it's up to you. Don't worry, big sister, I won't let you down. Victorian, who was rescued from the slave ship with Hancock and the others, joined the beasts after that, and got his position on the Shadow Fox with his own talent. He is currently in charge of the artillery command. According to the angle planned in advance, the artillery on the Shadow Fox started bombing directly. Be careful. Don't load the wrong shells. The white ones are for the 9 Snakes ship. Those shells are specially made low quality shells. When they are fired, you can only hear a sound, and the damage is very limited. Victorian's loud voice warned the gunners on the ship. As a gunner, it is very important to have a loud voice, otherwise outsiders can't hear it at all. The 9 Snakes ship is thunderous, but raindrops are small, but it's different on the Navy ship. Hancock had just released their petrification when the high explosive shells exploded. Pay attention to avoid. Fight back. Fight back. After all, they are regular troops, and they are also the direct troops of the Vice Admiral. The sudden bombardment did not make them collapse. Under the command of Gumiya, they quickly entered the battle queue. It's the Beast Pirates. That ship is a phantom disaster. Have those lunatics started again? Pirates actively attacking the Navy were rare in the first half of the Grand Line. If the team was led by someone else, Gumiya might feel something was wrong. But if the leader was Olga, then many things would become reasonable. In the past few years, she is the one who has made the most noise outside. Quinn is now famous within the intelligence system, and Olga is famous in the newspapers. In addition to the secret slave hunting team, she occasionally attacks the Navy's warships. This is her revenge. Sometimes she is very narrow-minded. She was chased by a canoe and crane for several months. Although they didn't catch her, she also held a grudge. However, most of these attacks occurred in the New World, which is the territory of the pirates, and most of the attacks were surveillance ships. As for the frequency, it was completely random. This is also the attitude of the Navy towards the beasts, Whitebird and other big pirate groups. They can stay still, but they must monitor them, and cannot be completely ignorant of their movements. In most cases, pirates will also selectively ignore the surveillance ships in the distance. Because even if 1 or 2 surveillance ships are sunk, the Navy will soon send a more secretive team, and there will be retaliatory actions, which will be more troublesome. The Navy is constantly exterminating pirates, but for these big pirates who have become a climate in the New World, and can pose a huge threat, it is an attitude of no big friction, but constant small friction. If Blackbird had not taken the initiative to send Ace, giving the Navy an opportunity to wait for the main battle, they would not have rashly launched such an annihilation war. Increase the intensity of the artillery fire. Keep your distance. That guy can create an illusion, and it will be a big trouble if she comes close. The Navy's intelligence department is also a little useful. At least they are not completely ignorant of the enemy's abilities. For example, their understanding of Olga is that she can create illusions and deceive people's perceptions within a certain distance. Keeping a certain distance at least prevents perception from being deceived and falling into a state of cannibalism. Sister Crane is not here. The intelligence known within the Navy is that Crane's ability can restrain the opponent's phantom, but Crane has been chasing Doflamingo for some time. That was an order issued by the world government. After all, Doflamingo's identity is different. Boa Hancock. As a Shichibuke, I now ask you to join us in solving the enemy. I refuse. The agreement states that I must accept the mandatory summons of the world government and pay a certain amount of income to the government. I can act freely at ordinary times and will not be interfered with by the government at all. You cannot represent the world government, so I can ignore your request. What, are you kidding? You are also their target of attack. From the landing point of the shells, it can be seen that you are the main target. These may be stray bullets. Now it is the best choice to stay away from you. Hancock did not directly agree to Gumia's request. The previous bounty criminals had already expressed their attitude. Showing goodwill and obeying orders are not synonymous. If you obey the Navy's request, you will definitely be ordered around more in the future. The Navy can also be seen as a company. The most diligent person in the company may not be promoted, but he is definitely the busiest. Besides, the 7 warlords of the sea are not a department under the Navy. At most, they are outsourced to the Navy. Gumia is not the big boss, but just a manager of another department. He can't command Hancock at all. When he said this, Hancock was already standing on the head of the serpent and preparing to return to the perfume serpent. I'm now representing the world government. Your receipt has not been sent back yet. I have the right to think that you are not suitable for this position. Although it is a basic condition for the Navy Vice Admiral to use haki, his soldiers cannot see the haki. According to the Navy's intelligence, people without haki will become tools when facing Alga, so he needs Hancock's military support. Although Hancock, who is only 15 years old, is far from the peak strength of 30 years old, she has also reached the strength that she should have at the age of 18, and her combat effectiveness is very strong. In Gumia's view, the ability to petrify will definitely cause great trouble to the opponent, but he didn't expect Hancock to be so uncooperative. Send the receipt back first, and I will join this battle. In the end, under this bargaining situation, Hancock participated in this battle, but she was the only one who participated in the battle. Gumia knew that ordinary people were meaningless in such a battle, and too many people would only be used by the other side. So the perfume serpent left the battlefield first, leaving only this warship and the shadow fox to engage in a boarding battle. No matter how sophisticated the phantom was, it was just an illusion. In order to be realistic, most of this battle was real, and it was also a test for new members such as Victorian. Be careful, that guy's ability can confuse people. Trust more in what you perceive with your domineering power than in vision and hearing. The Navy has a certain understanding of Alga's ability, but it is not comprehensive. At present, they believe that, as long as Olga is unable to split herself in the battle, her ability will not affect others. Gumia believes that he and Hancock are still able to fight Olga. The vice admirals of the Navy headquarters are the backbone of the Navy, and even the literary admirals have some military power. In order to prevent accidents, he also reminded Hancock, but this was not a comradeship. He was afraid that an accident would cause Hancock to regard him as an enemy. However, he didn't know that this matter was a big drama. From the beginning, he had already joined the game. They didn't know the relationship between the 9 snakes and the 100 beasts. 2 updates today, out of stock, to make up for the plot. Chapter 443. The young man's path is both wide and narrow. Boom. Boom. The sudden bombardment from the side made Victorian unable to react. He hated such unplanned things. What's wrong with that ship? The battle between the Navy and the pirates was not uncommon. If it was another warship attacking them, Victorian would not find it strange. It was the Navy supporting friendly forces, which was normal. But now it was that warship that was attacked, and the pirate ship that appeared had never been heard of the flag, which was very strange. Under normal circumstances, other pirate groups would choose to stay away when they saw the Navy fighting other pirate groups, for fear of getting burned. There were only a few pirates who dared to attack the Navy, and even if they attacked, they mostly attacked the escort ship. Because the things that needed to be escorted by the Navy were usually very valuable, only the huge benefits could make them take risks. But today such an abnormal situation happened. The beasts couldn't figure out the situation, and Gumiya was even less clear. Although the Navy soldiers on this ship were fully loaded in order to deal with emergencies, any ship led by a senior cadre under the Sea Emperor would not be afraid of a single warship, unless all the people above asked range, such as the retired Sengoku, Crane and Fujitora. The battle at this time can only be said to be balanced, and Gumiya can't free his hands at all. If it weren't for the smooth implementation of the Seven Warlords plan, Olga would have the ability to keep him here. He can't free his hands, his adjutant is entangled by Elizabeth, and the remaining Navy does not have much advantage in the battle. Usually, the Navy has an advantage in the artillery battle against pirates. With the backing of the world government, their weapons and equipment are much stronger than those of pirates. The advantage in firepower is the most important thing for ordinary soldiers in battle, but facing the beasts, based on Wano country, they can't take advantage at all. At this time, the pirates who appeared behind had a great impact on the battle. Seeing this group of pirates who suddenly appeared, Olga was not happy, because that was not what she arranged. According to the script, she will evacuate directly after the battle. She has no interest in Gumiya's life. To be precise, Gumiya can't have any problems. His identity is the messenger of the Seven Warlords letters. He died at the meeting place with the Nine Snakes pirates. This inevitably makes people feel that it is a conspiracy. The vice admirals of the headquarters and G branch are the backbone of the Navy. The death and injury of such officers is a great loss to the face of the Navy, and the chain reaction it triggers will not be easy to deal with. However, this is not the most important problem. She can control the casualties in the battle. Except for her and Elizabeth, no one else has the ability to cause fatal injuries to a vice admiral of the Navy. The biggest problem is that the sudden intrusion of these outsiders can easily mess up the existing plans. A black and purple energy spread out from Olga's feet, spreading like a tide, gradually enveloping the entire surface of the warship. Even the Shadow Fox and Sasuke's ship that had just approached were affected by her phantom territory. The black and purple energy was extremely illusory. After spreading, it suddenly disappeared, but after that, all the Navy on the warship stopped their actions. Stop. Olga then called her men to stop and ordered, Elizabeth, the pirates have been controlled. You take the ship to the sea area I told you about before. Olga put her right hand on her temple. At this time, her brain was performing large-scale calculations. The phantom was generated by her thoughts. The more she understood a thing, the more real the phantom was. As her strength grew, the distance she could control the phantom became wider. The position marked on the sea chart was the maximum distance for her phantom to last. Usually, she simulated more dead objects or environments, and such phantoms were the safest. However, the more people were involved in the phantom, the easier it was to reveal flaws. It was not difficult to confuse the enemy and make them kill each other on the battlefield. It was enough to simulate offensive scenes such as swinging swords. This kind of retreat scene after defeat was more complicated. She could not move to maintain such a realistic scene, so she could only leave these things to others. Understood. I'll do it as soon as possible. Elizabeth knew that this illusion would be exposed if it lasted too long, so she immediately spread her wing membrane and glided to the side. Hancock, this illusion will last for a while, so be careful then. Don't worry, Sister Olga, I know how to deal with it. Well, I'll leave it to you. See you next time. Then she returned to the Shadow Fox, and after Sasuke's ship was driven to a place where Gumiya could never see it, she also led her people away from here. After she left, Gumiya and others also returned to reality from the constraints of the illusion. He didn't have too much doubt. After all, Akainu and Crane failed to keep Olga, and he didn't think he had the ability, but in the fake battle he saw, Hancock embodied the value of a Shichibuke, and that combat power was indeed worthy of this position. Then Hancock had almost no response to Gumiya's words, and acted extremely arrogantly. She knew that the more she said, the more flaws she would have, and maintaining this situation would be the best result. Anyway, she has left such an extremely arrogant personality to the Navy, and it is not abnormal to continue to do so. On the other side, on Sasuke's ship, Sasuke and others were confused. Their previous impression was that they were attacking the navy, but in the blink of an eye, they came to this unfamiliar sea area and were pointed at the head by the people of the beasts. Tell me, who sent you here? No one assigned us. We volunteered to help. Looking at Olga who asked the question, Sasuke did not panic. Although he only liked Kaido, he also knew the people around Kaido. Huh? Volunteer to help? Yes, joining the beasts has always been my dream. My name is Sasuke, and I'm a pirate who just went to sea this year. I'm not interested in your identity. You almost ruined my big plan. And do you think anyone can join? He should be grateful that it was Olga who came to do this. Now the most easygoing one among the big bosses of the beasts pirates. If it was Jin or Quinn, even Shaina, they would sink their ship without saying a word. There are so many new people who want to join the beasts. According to a certain world, Sasuke's self-determination has committed a death sentence. But just as Olga was thinking about how to deal with these people, the word stone appeared in her ears. You mean the stone? Yes, the stone that Lord Kaido needs. I found it. Chapter 444, The Navy's Fig Leaf, Sasuke's Request. Looking at the slate on Sasuke's ship, Olga realized that the situation was different. According to the familiar tradition, Olga punched the slate, basically concluding that it was a real thing. What a lucky boy. Yes, Lord Arceus's things were found by a newcomer. Looking at the slate, several people behind Olga began to whisper. After all, this was the greatest achievement within the beasts. Except for some special military exploits, there was nothing comparable to this. With this achievement here, the things that almost ruined their plans before can be turned over. After all, the final result of the 7 warlords of the sea was not affected. But this slate is real. This is the gift I prepared for Lord Kaido, and it is also my pledge of allegiance. Is this enough? No problem. With this, you are enough to join the beasts, and you can also get great rewards. Come with me. Because of the slate, Olga also changed her itinerary and prepared to leave early to return to Onigashima, which also caused Sasuke to be on the blacklist of some people. Olga was going to stay for a while, and Hancock invited her to sit with the 9 snakes. Although the 9 snakes were also xenophobic, Hancock was now in power, and Guerrillosa would not refute her on such a small matter. The 9 snakes were celebrating because they had obtained the position of Shichibuke, which meant that the 9 snakes had another umbrella of protection. With the status of Shichibuke, the calm belt, and Hancock's current strength, Amazon Lily was basically in an absolutely safe state in the first half of the Grand Line. But when Olga called, Hancock's face sank. Hancock, what's wrong with you? Granny, do you recognize this flag? This flag, let me think. It seems to be a newcomer this year, Mancha Sasuke, with a bounty of 88 million baileys. What's the matter? Nothing, I just remembered him. By the way, Granny, you are always knowledgeable, right? As soon as these words came out, Guerrillosa felt that something was wrong. Hancock started to complain about her nagging less than half a month after returning to Amazon Lily, and it was almost impossible to use honorifics for her. What do you want to do? Nothing, I just want to ask you, Granny, have you seen a kind of stone in the time since you left Amazon Lily? Hexagonal, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. She has lived on Onigashima for 3 years, and of course she has heard of this kind of thing. A passerby pirate like Sasuke can make such a big fuss with this, and she thinks she can do the same. No, I've never seen such a thing. TSK, what a waste of time. Let's go back home. Yes, Lady Snake. Hancock showed what it means to change her face at the speed of light and directly returned to Amazon Lily with the 9 snakes pirates. Olga is still on her way back to Wano country with Sasuke, and in the Navy headquarters, some people are not calm. In the marshal's office, looking at the information handed to him by Sora, Sengoku's heart is very complicated. The responses from the pirates came one after another, including Hancock who took the initiative to ask for a position, and Gecko Moria and Juragal Mihawk who were invited by the government. The information sent back by Gumiya has verified Hancock's identity as a Shichibuke. Although he is unruly, his strength is enough. Moria simply did not refuse. Facing the invitation of the Shichibuke of the world government, he readily agreed. Even though he is becoming more and more otaku, he still has endless hatred for Kaido. However, he was able to become a Shichibuke thanks to Kaido. The world government did not assess his strength, but he got this position because of his record with Kaido. Sengoku did not care about these two people. Hancock, who went to sea for the first time, and Moria, who had been silent for a long time, were not enough to shake him, but the last Mihawk was different. Brother Kong, this guy attacked many colleagues. Can he, who is called the Navy Hunter, become a Shichibuke? Hancock's debut used other pirates. Moria was a past record, but Hawkeye was the corpse of the Navy. The term Navy Hunter is not a joke. Such a guy can be called Shichibuke. Then what about our face? This is the decision of the 5 elders. They reached an agreement with that guy. From now on, the title of Navy Hunter will be hidden, and there will only be Hawkeye Mihawk. Kong said the above decision, which is also the fig leaf left by the world government to the Navy. The Navy is a violent agency, but it is not the only violent agency of the world government. The decisions they make will not consider the feelings of the Navy. This is true for both Hawkeye's selection and White 2's selection in the original timeline. In the eyes of those people, the former admiral who fought for the Navy all his life is not worth mentioning at all. Even the erasure of the title of Navy Hunter was the result of Sora's argument. Sengoku, you have to understand that the Navy today is no longer the original Navy. The original Navy was just a tool of the world government, but with the development of time, although the essence of this tool has not changed, there are more and more Navy with personality, and sometimes some Navy's choices are even contrary to the world government. The current Navy has a certain degree of independence, but this independence is still within the tolerance of the world government. I understand. Wait until you sit in my position and you will understand that the position of the Navy Admiral is not so easy to be. The opposition within the Navy did not have any effect. Even if some people withdrew from the Navy because of this, Joker Mihawk still became a member of the 7 Warlords of the Sea with the reputation of the great swordsman Hawkeye. In the newspaper the next day, the names of Gecko Moria, Pirate Queen Boa Hancock, and Hawkeye Joker Mihawk once again occupied the front page. After sailing for a while, Alga also brought Sasaki and the others to Onigashima. Generally, newcomers are not qualified to come here, but Sasaki, who brought back the stone tablet, is an exception. He even got the opportunity to meet with the Emperor. Lord Arceus, I brought the people and your things as well. Very good, Sasaki, you did a good job. According to the rules we set, you are worthy of the reward. Wait, Lord Arceus. Sasaki interrupted Arceus. After all, he brought a stone tablet, so he didn't care about such a small matter. What? I want to be received by Lord Kaido, and I hope to get a reward from that lord. After all, he is an outsider who doesn't know the truth about the Beast's pirates, and he is also a fanatical fan of Kaido. Compared with Arceus, the apparent second in command, he wants to see Kaido more. Chapter 445. Smart, but not much. Sasaki insisted on meeting Kaido. For him, this was just a fan meeting. He would be hard to be satisfied if he couldn't meet the real person. Although the fanatical worship of Kaido is by no means wrong in the Beast's pirates, his attitude is bound to displease some people. For example, Shaina's first impression of Sasaki has become very bad. Originally, she had a good feeling about Sasaki who brought back the stone tablet, but this attitude has consumed her impression points. In the end, Sasaki's request was met. Kaido ended his training ahead of schedule, completed the handover with Arceus, and came here. Is it you? What are your requests? Can you tell me now? Yes, Lord Kaido, I want to join the Beast's pirates. Please let me follow you. At this time, his attitude was much more respectful than before. Interesting newcomer. I heard that you found that thing, right? In that case, there is no problem for you to join here. From today on, your pirate group can fly my flag. No, Lord Kaido, I mean I want to join the Beasts completely. I have decided to give up my position as captain. Is that what you want? If I can, I want to drink with you alone once, other than the wine of the adopted son. The wine of the adopted son is the wine that is drunk when leading the troops to join the other pirate group and become an affiliated pirate group. It is a unique wine culture in the pirate world. Even if Sasuke plans to give up his previous position and join the other party directly, this process will not be missed. But he wants to drink with Kaido alone. Are the newcomers now so brave? Yes, I actually want to drink alone with Kaido, boss. It is not difficult to drink with Kaido. He will not refuse to toast him at the banquet. Although it is not difficult, the process is very dangerous. Once Kaido is drunk and there is no Kaido with enough strength around him, then the ordinary members will become very dangerous. When he was drunk, even Yamato would choose to hide. So listening to Sasuke's request, some pirates around him couldn't help but show him admiration. Okay, guys, bring the wine up. Lord Kaido, I brought some specialties this time. Please do me the favor of using the wine I brought. After getting Kaido's permission, Sasuke asked his crew to bring the wine, which was a specialty of the Seven Water City called ship wine. They would bury the sealed wine in the ground next to some cultivated saplings, and when the trees grew big enough to be used as the keel of the ship, the workers would cut down the trees and the buried wine would be dug out. Such wine is usually 2 jars. One is drunk when the ship sets sail, and the other is drunk before the ship is retired. At this time, Sasuke's request was basically half achieved, but he said something that made Kaido laugh. You said you want to be my right-hand man? Yes, Lord Kaido, I heard that you can get a reward for bringing back the stone tablet. I hope this reward is a qualification to challenge the position of the big boss. Interesting. I haven't seen such an interesting newcomer like you for a long time. Your reward remains unchanged. I give you the qualification for this challenge extra. So who do you want to challenge? Logically, he should challenge those numbered people first, and only after he gets a single digit number can he be qualified to challenge the big boss. But Kaido himself is also one of the rule makers, and he can naturally change the rules of such things. I want to challenge the position of Plague Queen. It is normal for young people to be arrogant. Many newcomers think that they can also reach the bounties of those monsters, but they are just a little bit short of chance. He has experienced Olga's ability before. Jin rarely appears, but they are all battles with strong people. Quinn is different. Although his bounty is very high, the information revealed outside seems that he has always been a scientific researcher. He wants a position closer to Kaido, so he wants to seize this opportunity. Okay, I promise you. Have a good rest today, and I will arrange your challenge tomorrow. If you succeed, you will be my new big boss. If you fail, I will personally help you become stronger. Kaido said as he moved his wrist. Several Kadas have grown up. They are more likely to fight outside on weekdays, which gives him few opportunities to train. Now he can only fight, and can only train children every day. It is a bit boring for him, and he always has to use less strength when fighting children. It seems good to have a new training sandbag. In a sense, Sasuke's judgment is correct. Among the Kadas at the big boss level, Quinn's strength is indeed the bottom one, but the bottom depends on who he is compared with. Even if he can't beat monsters like Jin and Shaina, he will not lose to the ordinary pirates below. The news of Onigashima soon reached Quinn's ears. Hearing that a new pirate wanted to challenge him, Quinn scratched his ears with a little disdain. The new guys are getting more and more arrogant nowadays. Let Uncle Quinn tell him what the value of a billion bounty is. But why are you here to deliver the message? Do you need to come for this kind of thing? Looking at Shaina leaning against the door, Quinn showed a puzzled look. Although Quinn has a laboratory on Ghost Island, some experiments are conducted in Rabbit Bowl due to safety issues. He was in Rabbit Bowl just now. Obviously, a phone call can solve the problem, but Shaina chose to come in person. It's nothing. I just came to tell you that, if you dare to give him a chance to fight back tomorrow, I will help you with intensive training. Quinn was confused. He hadn't been beaten for a long time. He thought he had figured out Shaina's temper, but trouble came to him. Wait, big sister, what does this have to do with me? Originally, it didn't matter, but who made him choose to challenge you? That guy lacks a little respect for the holy beast. Let him understand what the difference in strength is. Hello, I understand. He wanted to show off his heroic fighting style, but it seems that he has no chance. At the same time, he mourned for Sasuke. His unintentional behavior seems to have made some people unhappy. As for why he did this kind of aiding the evil and suppressing newcomers, let alone for his current position, he had to do it even for his own good luck. It's better to let my friend die than to let me die. He is not interested in Shaina's intensive training. Few people are interested in being beaten unilaterally. At the same time, Arceus's 11th stone tablet also successfully returned to his body. The Jade Insect Stone tablet with the attribute of insects, although the resistance provided by the Jade Insect Stone tablet is not outstanding in the world of pirates, it is still part of his power. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, City Guardian Dragon and Redlock. After receiving the news, Quinn stopped the experiment at hand and started his warm-up activities. He didn't want to be unlucky. At this time, Tizulu also brought Stella to Onigashima, and the healthcare medicine department of the Beast Fruit achieved great success. Since Olga met Sasuke and returned to Onigashima, the time has come to January 1507. In the past time, the Beast Fruit has successfully opened up a new way. A large number of royal families and nobles have used the medicine to treat platinum lead disease. Now their platinum lead disease has not recurred, and many people feel that their physical condition has improved. That is the effect of the medicine mixed in it. Then the Beast Fruit took the opportunity to launch things like facial masks and hair care soups, thereby gaining a certain market share. When the new department got on track, his goal was to look at the mining department that was still being planned. This time he came to Onigashima to take Swampert and Manaphy to Fishman Island. There are two reasons for Stella to accompany him. One is to take her to appreciate the scenery of Fishman Island, and the other is to shoot a promotional film. The reason why those masks were sold successfully was due to Stella's advertising effect. She is now a popular rising star, and the skincare products she uses will naturally attract the interest of others. As for the promotional video, it is about the sea mud mask. If it goes well, he also wants to invite a few mermaids. Although some people discriminate against this race, the world recognizes the beauty of mermaids. However, not long after they arrived at Onigashima, they heard about the new challenge. This is the first time that someone has challenged the big boss since the challenge system of the beasts was introduced. It's not that no one has had such ambitions in the past, but they couldn't even pass the first level. The top 10 numbered people are all old people. They know the strength of the big boss, and no one wants to abuse him. Sasuke, the warrior, can be said to have aroused the interest of many people. Quinn. On the surrounding viewing platforms, the pirates of the beasts shouted Quinn's name excitedly. As a senior banquet host, Quinn's reputation within the beasts is still not low, especially after his concept of viewing ordinary pirates as consumables and experimental products was restrained by the rules. Now he will at least not be so ruthless to his own people. Compared to Sasuke, the outsider who challenged the big boss, they naturally hoped that Quinn would win. Boy, get ready. I don't want to waste time with you. Of course. As he spoke, Sasuke's body began to change. His skin gradually became rough, and 3 sharp horns appeared on his head and above his nose. He is the ability user of the dragon fruit ancient species Triceratops form. He got this fruit by chance shortly after sailing. Because of this fruit, he is more convinced that he can join the beast's pirates and become one of them. After all, among the current cadres of the beasts, all humans show animal type abilities. But Quinn didn't give him any other time. Waiting for him to transform is already the biggest concession. It takes a certain amount of time for an animal type ability user to transform, and the more skilled the ability user is, the faster the transformation will be. Although Quinn was the last to act, he completed his transformation in advance. Quinn's tropical dragon inherited the huge size of the original Brachiosaurus. The original weight of Brachiosaurus was several times that of Triceratops. Coupled with the size difference between Quinn and Sasuke, the gap became even bigger. Before Sasuke was ready to attack, Quinn had already jumped into the air and then stepped on him with a domineering foot. Fall down, kid. Quinn bomb. With the huge weight and the power provided by the wings, Quinn did not hold back in this attack. After all, if Sasuke didn't get unlucky, he would have to bang. With a loud bang, Sasuke was stepped on the top of his head by Quinn. The huge vibration made it impossible for even the pirate next to him to keep his balance. Sasuke, who was hit on the head by Quinn, also fell to the ground and lost consciousness with white eyes. There was silence for a while. They all thought that Sasuke would lose, but no one thought that Quinn would win so easily. However, the silence was only temporary. Soon, the wave of cheers covered up the shock just now, and Quinn also enjoyed the cheers. He defeated the enemy with one blow. He also fulfilled Shaina's request. No matter how he looked at it, the opponent had no chance to cause trouble for him. Ugh, Quinn, you are too harsh on the newcomer. I can't help it, Boss Kaido. After all, he took the initiative to challenge. If I don't do this, I can't let it go. Quinn defended his position and life safety with an overwhelming advantage, but Sasuke still got what he deserved. Although it was a little rude, it was only because he was shallow. Finding the stone tablet is a great achievement, and he will still get what he deserves, but he may suffer a little in the future during intensive training. After all, his ability is to transform the ability of a sandbag. The shield Pokemon, Fortress Dragon, which is based on the Triceratops. The most notable feature of Fortress Dragon is the thick facial bone. Although it is a face, it can protect its offspring like a wall. Its hardness comparable to that of diamond is its greatest reliance. On this basis, Arceus also retained the sharp horns of the Triceratops for him, which is considered to be an additional means of attack. My lord holy beast, such a guy is not worthy of your ability at all. He is too arrogant. After all, he is a person who came to surrender, and he seems to be a crazy fan of Kaido. Some of his behavior can be understood, but his story also reminded me, Shaina, this is something for you. A red chain appeared in Shaina's hand, and she felt a very special breath from it. Master Holy Beast, this is a set of chains. A chain that is specially designed to restrain the ability users I have given it, but it will not affect you, so you don't have to worry about anything. The beasts have more and more people, and more abilities are allocated. It is impossible for all of them to be die-hard fans like Shaina. It is okay for someone like Sasuke who is only loyal to Kaido, but if there is any accident in the future, such as the betrayal he hates the most, it will not be fun. The red chain is a special chain condensed from his power. The restraining effect on Pokemon ability users is like the restraint of Ceaston on ordinary ability users. In addition to the fantasy beasts that were originally created by him, the most trustworthy subordinate is still Shaina. This chain is a recognition of her, and its hardness exceeds that of existing materials. Whether it is external or internal, this chain can work wonders. It is recommended that some dearbook friends may do the difference between a hexagon and a regular hexagon. The great speechless technique is still continuing, and I can't reply to comments. Chapter 447 The Illusion of Workplace Bullying. The ability was given by him, so he naturally has the ability to take it back, but there is no need to do many things personally. The significance of the chain is that Shaina has absolute ability to suppress other gods, so even if there is any problem, it is not worth it to do it personally. The red chain is based on 2 stone slabs of rock and steel, and is a special metal that incorporates his original power. It is a special product that does not belong to any material in the world. It is a bondage that even Dialga and Palkia cannot break free from. For ordinary Pokemon, the red chain means absolute superior suppression. In addition to its own hardness and ductility, its shape can also change. One end of the chain is in the shape of a 1000 universe wrist, which can be used as a special gun head, switching between the state of chain gun and long gun, and can be extended and retracted within a certain range. If necessary, this chain can also serve as a short stick, fist, whip and other weapons. Although Shaina is good at kicking, and Jin is more of a knife player, they are both good at using guns. They have learned gun skills from their parents since they were young, which can be regarded as the ancestral kung fu of the Lunaria tribe. However, guns are unpopular weapons in the world of pirates, and the iconic moves in them are too obvious. In addition, they are also good at other things, so they gave up guns. The red chain is probably used as a soft whip in Shaina's hands most of the time. According to her personality, she will never use this thing, unless it is a special case. I understand. I will not let you down. By the way, Lord Saint Beast, do you want to take a look at this thing? Shaina took out a small book, which seemed to be dozens of pages thick. The outside was a very delicate packaging and book cover. You can see from the pattern that it is customized. Outsiders will never use the icon of Kaien's wrist. Grey background with gold edges, plus the strong religious atmosphere around. It is self-evident what this is. Is this made by Misu? Yes, I think she is very talented, especially in appreciating your glory. She is much better than that Sasuke. This is the doctrine she compiled during this period. I have read it. Although I personally think there is no big problem, it is better for you to take a look. Arceus thought that the doctrine was just a piece of paper. After all, in his opinion, this was a transaction under the temptation of power. There would be a reward for finding the stone tablet. It was very concise and clear. But such an ordinary sentence could be expanded into the shape of a book. This was something he did not expect. How did you write so much? Although the number of words on the booklet was not very dense, there was no repetition of a sentence. At first glance, it seemed to be really telling the truth. I told her some things from the past, and then she expanded and slightly revised them, and finally it became like this. This is just a draft, and Misu feels that it is not perfect enough. It's almost good enough. Don't worry too much about it. It doesn't matter. Misu is very talented in this area. It won't take up much time, and the children in the new monastery also like to listen to this kind of story. The new monastery is also one of the new buildings that appeared in Wano country. The children in it are not orphans, but the descendants of pirates in the Beast Pirates. Although those pirates have started families and established careers, few of them are good at educating their children. The first line pirates often go out to sail, and even if they retreat to the second line, they still have their own work to do during the day. So when faced with a monastery that provides food, accommodation, and classes, they are very happy to send their children in, and most of these people are also the new generation of the beasts. The stronger the person, the less affected by age. Those grassroots cadres do not have the ability to be strong and healthy in their 60s and 70s, so the children raised by these pirates also shoulder the responsibility of taking over. It's up to you. Where's Tesoro? He should go and hand over his shift to Kajiro. Kajiro was on a field trip, not settled in Fishman Island. Now that most of the survey work there has been completed, he is just waiting for Tesoro to hand over his shift. I'll go find him now. They continued to discuss the next things here, while Sasuke, who had just joined the Beast's Pirates not long ago, was still in the stage of doubting his life. Is the gap so big? He thought that he might fail. After all, Quinn was also the big boss of the Beasts. It was impossible for him to be a waste if he could get more attention and get this position, but he never thought that he would lose so thoroughly. One move, just one move beat him without any chance to fight back. Captain Sasuke. Don't call me captain. The original pirate group has been disbanded. Now you are all members of the Beasts. As Sasuke said this, his arm changed. Looking at the silver grey arm, he realized one thing at this time. The rumors from the outside world were true. It's no wonder that the pirates of the Beasts are so fanatical about the grace of the gods who made the animals evolve into mythical beasts. But it's really worthy of Lord Kaido to win over such a person. Only by joining the Beasts and becoming a member of Onigashima can you understand these things, such as the strange system of dual leaders within the Beasts. At this time, Sasuke still felt incredible when recalling the past, but this transfer order made him confused. Quarry guard because of the failure of challenging the big boss, his internal position became a state of waiting for assignment, but he was a person who got the ability of the castle dragon after all. Although he had just entered the new world, it was not difficult to be a grassroots cadre. However, he was assigned to the quarry and asked him to temporarily serve as the guard there. According to Kaido's words, he was too far away from being his right-hand man now, so he should go and hone his skills first. There happened to be a sparring partner for him in the quarry. Because it was Kaido's request, he did not raise any objections, but when he came to the quarry, he found that the so-called sparring partner was not a human at all, but the boss Ghidorah at the beginning. Even if it retains the triangle, Paladin is still a Pokemon that relies on defense, and the hardest part of its body is the facial bone. For Sasuke, using his face to receive skills will become a normal thing in the future. Boss Ghidorah's main fighting method relies on its own body. The prisoners in the mining field can see Boss Ghidorah hitting the mountains with its head and shoulders every day, and Sasuke's training requires being beaten, so he was assigned to this position. He will be transferred to another position after he is familiar with the situation inside the beast. Looking at the steel behemoth in front of him, Sasuke suddenly felt that he was being targeted, but in order to successfully become Kaido's right-hand man, he still resolutely embarked on the path of abuse. Chapter 448 War Machine Genesect. Sasuke took the first step in his career at the quarry. He was in a very strange and special situation. He chose to join the company because of his admiration for the chairman, but he overlooked a problem. The chairman might not be in charge of things on a daily basis. Due to his blind admiration for the chairman, he ignored the second largest shareholder of the group, who was the one who usually managed the affairs of the group, which indirectly led to the poor first impression of him by the CEO and department managers when he joined the company. Although he did not lose what he deserved, he would inevitably have to wear a pair of shoes during the probation period of regularization. On the other hand, Tesoro was ready, and Manaphy and Swampert were ready to go, but before they set off, there was another thing to prepare. The beasts did not plan to station a Kada on Fishman Island. Mandafesh, who was responsible for the handover between the Sabaody archipelago and the New World, was doing this job part-time, and Mandafesh was also preparing a plan for a land mermaid park. The beasts never forbid their subordinates to do some private things during official business. As long as the reasons are sufficient and the benefits are sufficient, Kaido can also come forward to solve some bigger troubles. The word peaceful has never been associated with Kaido. He is the most peaceful when he does not take the initiative to attack others. Not planning to increase Kadas does not mean not to increase the force. Manaphy has proved one thing through the test. Although he cannot command all the Sea Kings like the Sea King, he can persuade the Sea Kings in some areas to leave. At least mining safety is not a problem. In addition, there are some Gyarados living in the waters near the Sabaody archipelago. Those Gyarados are the objects that Manaphy can control. These are the forces in the ocean. At the same time, some weapons on the ship need to be increased. For example, a certain ancient Pokemon, Genesect. The attributes of insect plus steel make it resistant to attack. Although it is weaker in resistance to fire, it depends on what kind of fire it is. In addition, the main range of activities is near Fishman Island. The marine environment can minimize the impact of fire. There is a limit to fear of fire. Groudon is weak to water in theory, but ordinary water will only be evaporated by it, and the restraint of attributes is never absolute, including the skill of one-hit near-death. In the game, the guillotine of the big armor can make Groudon near-death with one hit, but in reality, it can only trim the opponent's toenails, and Groudon can also show that, even if you can fly, my cliff sword can stab you down. The humanoid robot made by Quinn according to the requirements was also sent over. It is much easier to have a carrier than to make it out of thin air, but it is limited to Pokemon like Genesect that are similar to artificial robots. The body is not important. The most important thing is the cannon on the back. The original Genesect does not have a laser cannon on the back. It is an additional tool installed by the Plasma team when resurrecting Genesect. Although Genesect is still the most powerful hunter in the ancient times without the added laser cannon, it is not a bad thing to have one more weapon. They don't have a coming of age ceremony, so there is no need to leave their high-tech weapons unused like the Predator and use melee equipment for melee. The scientific research technology of the Plasma team is extremely high. The guns that the researchers installed on the Genesect can even switch cartridges to change its attack attributes. Elemental attacks are not a secret in the MAD's research team. Judge, who has studied bloodline factors, has integrated special powers into the combat system of his children through combat suits. Quinn has also added those abilities to his human body transformation. In addition, because of the ability of Tropical Dragon and the power of Pokemon to launch skills, Quinn has transformed a new weapon energy source. The special weapon that he was asked to make was this type. The reason why he was asked to make a sample was not because Arceus' ability was not as good as technology, but because that technology was too low level for him. Switching the attributes of the attack was just a thought for him. With this ability, of course he would not study how to use technology to simulate his ability. In a sense, this kind of power was too low level for him, so he did not study that kind of thing. Instead of spending energy to figure out how to transform, it is better to transform it based on Quinn's existing research results and his own strength, which saves time and effort without affecting the results. Quinn made a total of 3 prototypes, all of which were about 5 meters tall, much taller than the original Genesect. At this time, the 2 stone plates of steel and jade bug are playing their own functions. The jade bug stone plate gives life to the soul, and the steel stone plate perfects the external shell and the weapons behind it. With the influx of power, the appearance of the test machine made by Quinn is also changing. The legs and arms gradually change into a segmented structure similar to that of insects, and there are slightly upward curved claws at the end of the legs. The head gradually changes into the shape of a flying saucer. As the position of the eyes flashes with a red light, Genesect descends into this world. Master. A slightly mechanical tone came out of Genesect's mouth. Although the number is not unique, Genesect is also a member of the fantasy beast. The Arceus family has added another member, or this time it is a triplet. From now on, you will be their leader, and your brothers and sisters will be born soon. There is actually no difference between the 3 machines, but this one is closer to the front, so he naturally becomes the boss of the triplets. Soon after, the 3 Genesects all had their own consciousness, but now they were still not truly complete Genesects. Arceus power was still gathering, and 33 small cards of different colors appeared in the sky. The card slot next to the light cannon behind the Genesect also opened, and those small cards like cassettes were integrated into the body. They represented the power of the existing slate attributes: fire, normal, evil, water, grass, electricity, fairy, rock, dragon, steel, and insect. Although they could not switch attributes, they could choose the attack mode of the light cannon. Yamato's tutu dog next to him was numbering the Genesects. The leader was red, and the other 2 were purple. On their chests, they all had numbers from GT0 to GT2. GT0 was the leader, and the remaining 2 were his younger brothers and sisters. At this time, according to Arceus's request, he planned to take his younger brothers and sisters to the shooting range to test the power of the weapons. The bodies of the 3 Genesects twisted and folded, and soon became the appearance of floating guns. That is their high-speed flying form, and also the posture of chasing prey, but in the eyes of ordinary people, it is just a transformable robot. And transformable robots have a strong appeal to many pirates. So cool, Godfather, they are so cool, I want one too, can I? Chapter 449, Quinn's ominous premonition, Tiger on the rock wall. Who can refuse a robot that can transform? It's true that she likes cute things, but she won't refuse such a handsome thing. Germa 66 battlesuits have a large number of fans in the North Sea because of the comics. A mechanical Pokemon like Genesect that can actually transform is easier to attract fans. Okay, I'll prepare a smaller one for you in a few days. The original intention of Genesect's appearance was to guard some islands and war mechas. Their positioning in the Beast's Pirates is the pirate version of pacifists, so they are made slightly larger in size. This size is suitable on the battlefield, but it is too big as a playmate. Since Yamato has shown interest, it will be better to make a slightly smaller one after a while. Okay, but Godfather, what are they going to do? Weapons testing. They should be at Quinn's place now. Genesect flew very fast, and soon arrived at the shooting range of the rabbit bowl area, where the beasts were testing new weapons. Not far away was Quinn's weapons laboratory, so he naturally saw what the robots he had originally made had become. Boom. 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 Genesect's attack hit the target accurately, and the place where the target was originally placed had turned into 3 large pits. The light cannon behind Genesect became extremely powerful after being strengthened by Arceus, but for some reason, Quinn did not feel happy at all. The number on Genesect's chest was very obvious. Although he did not know what GT meant, he understood another truth. The modern weapon style of Genesect and the number on the chest were telling others that these were mass-produced machines. The appearance of the insect-shaped robot would definitely cause that kind of misunderstanding, plus the energy cannon that was similar to the bloodline factor. Quinn had a hunch that his bounty would increase again sooner or later. Looking at Genesect's weapons, Quinn had some special ideas. Since the prototypes of those light cannons were weapons he made, the weapons in his body should also be able to be transformed. He felt it necessary to apply to Arceus for a second transformation. For example, upgrading the weapons in his body in order to deal with the possible crisis. He felt that this was a very necessary thing. Then Genesect conducted a series of tests. After binding the data, Genesect left here. These data plus the design drawings in his room were really easy for outsiders to misunderstand. Tesoro did not stay in Onigashima for too long this time. He soon went to Fishman Island with the prepared supplies and Pokemon. Starting a mining company and changing Kajiro back was his mission this time. If Jack had learned enough, he would return to Onigashima with Kajiro. Sailing is a boring and long process. The route from Wano country to Sabaody archipelago is a route that the pirates of the beasts often sail. Many people are tired of the scenery on the road. Moreover, this voyage was even simpler than before. The Manaphy swimming in the seawater made them not worry about the harassment of sea beasts. Some common marine creatures were still dancing around the ship under the control of Manaphy, which added some different fun to the voyage. The beasts still followed the traces of the stone tablets they usually looked for on the sea, and different situations occurred in different parts of the world. For example, after the revolutionary army made a name for itself near Frevens, it gained a large number of followers. Based on these people, Long began to develop the revolutionary army in the Four Seas. It was too reluctant for these people to enter the Grand Line now. At the same time, Bartholomew Big Bear returned to the kingdom of Sobel due to trivial matters, and Long's friend, Queen Ambrio Ivankov of the kingdom of Kamabaka, also joined the revolutionary army. Although the current revolutionary army has not yet entered the Grand Line, the kingdom of Kamabaka can be regarded as a stepping stone for the revolutionary army, because it is located on the peach color island of the Grand Line, but many people are reluctant to set foot on this island. It is not because the island environment is dangerous, but because the residents on it are strange. The kingdom of Kamabaka, known as the kingdom of Shemales, is a nightmare for some people. In the North Sea, although the Don Quixote family would be chased by the crane from time to time, Eluo still proved his worth. He robbed a wealthy businessman in the new station with Baby 5 and Buffalo, and thus got the medicine he needed. After taking the medicine for several months, he also understood one thing, that is, this medicine is not a specific medicine for platinum lead disease at all. Although it can enhance people's resistance, he can probably hold on for a few more months with this medicine, but it is not a cure at all. And many doubts also appeared in his mind. He wanted to find the nun to ask clearly in person, but now there is no chance at all. On the Red Earth continent, a big event is happening. The Red Earth continent seemed extremely quiet in the dark night. Although the bubble cable car in Red Harbor was still in business, Fisher Tiger was climbing hard in the shadow far away from there. There was no warning around the Red Earth continent. The world government could not build fences and install sentries for the entire Red Earth continent. Moreover, they did not think that anyone could climb the Red Earth continent. That height was already daunting for countless people. But tonight, something abnormal happened. The climber had no safety equipment in his hands. He was climbing the Red Earth continent with his bare hands. There were some protrusions on the huge rock wall, which allowed him to find some leverage. However, many of these rocks were weathered by the wind and sun. The stone under his feet suddenly broke, and he lost his balance and hung on the rock wall with one hand. The sun-like mark on his chest can be seen on his exposed chest. Originally, there was the seal of the Sky Dragon, which belonged to the Sky Dragons. It was also the most shameful thing for Tiger, so soon after escaping, he used this pattern to cover up the original mark. Although the seal of the Sky Dragon is just a tattoo mark, it is mixed with some kind of potion, which cannot be removed by ordinary means, so it can only be covered up, which is also the most puzzling behavior of the three Hancock sisters in the original timeline. Compared with the psychological trauma, the pain of the brand is nothing, but they did not choose to cover it with the mark of the 9 snakes after several years. Tiger, hanging on the rock wall with one hand, struggled to find a new leverage point, but he encountered an unexpected surprise. He actually found a cave on the rock wall. Although the interior had collapsed and sealed, the remaining space was enough for him to rest temporarily, and this was exactly the trace left by the big rock snakes. Chapter 450, Mary G.I.'s Attack. At the beginning, the big rock snakes dug holes everywhere. Although they filled the tunnels again, after digging the wrong ones, the places that were dug were no longer complete rocks, so naturally such small depressions were left, which gave Tiger a chance to catch his breath. After a short rest, he continued to climb up. He didn't have much time. If it was dawn, he would be discovered soon. He had to complete his goal under the cover of night. Although this was an almost impossible goal, the torture of those years gave him faith in his heart, and he finally succeeded in getting to the top. With his familiarity with Mirajoa, he sneaked into Mirajoa from the sewer. In order to show their uniqueness, the celestial dragons even built the sewers to be extremely spacious, which just gave Tiger an opportunity. He had been preparing for today's action for a long time. The props he prepared were in his backpack. The department store opened by Kajero can be said to have helped him a lot, such as the water storage shell he was holding in his hand. This was just a container for storing liquids on Sky Island, and they were now filled with strong fuel oil. Set fire to attract attention, and then rescue the slaves who were imprisoned together. He had chosen a good day for the operation today, because today was a gathering of the celestial dragons. In their opinion, lowly slaves were not worthy of appearing in such occasions, so the slaves would be detained together. There was the slave bank of the celestial dragons. For the celestial dragons, slaves were no different from currency, but were equivalents and consumables. He had heard from Otterheim that Kajero had asked Otterheim if she needed an arms order, so he got a lot of good things from her, and at this time, some time fuses were installed by him. As time passed, the fuses were detonated on time, and a fire swept across the entire Mirajoa in an instant, and the entire Mirajoa was completely in chaos. All the manpower was involved in the operation of transferring the celestial dragons and rescuing the celestial dragons' assets. Saving the property was entirely the celestial dragon's own request. Although the house was on fire, in the eyes of the celestial dragons, human life was far less important than their favorite toys. Under the threat of guns, some people working for the celestial dragons had to risk their lives to enter the sea of fire. The purpose of the fire was to attract most people's attention at first. Anyway, Tiger had achieved this goal and escorted the celestial dragons to a safe location, tying up a large number of people. Most of the guards had been led away by the fire, and Tiger's chance had come. He was also a strong man among the fishmen, and the remaining guards were no match for him. After defeating those people, he successfully got the key he needed. You are free, but you are not safe yet. This is Mirajoa. You all know what the consequences of staying here are. If you don't want to be put on a corpse cart and pushed out, then follow me. Holding the swords and guns snatched from the guards, Tiger began to liberate the slaves, giving priority to adult males with combat effectiveness. The guards outside had surrounded him after noticing the movement here, and he needed people to resist those guards. The celestial dragons had a lot of slaves, even the giants, and the two giants had become the most powerful force now. With the CP0 agents guarding the celestial dragons, these people could not stop the giants at all. Tiger, who appeared here like a savior, became their backbone. Most of the people who were at a loss followed his orders, especially the fishmen and mermaid slaves. Brother Tiger, the chains are all open. What should we do next? The target is Chicken. Take down the bubble cable car and evacuate from there. Although he could climb up alone, it did not mean that everyone could return the same way as him. Even he himself might not be able to do it. It is easier to go up the mountain than to go down. It is much more difficult to leave here than to go up. Chicken must have garrison troops, but for the sake of freedom and survival, they had to fight to the death like this. After the accident in Mirajoa, it would definitely notify the nearest Marineford. At this time, the warships that received the order have begun to send reinforcement to Chicken. The World Conference has long ended, and the admirals stationed here have naturally evacuated. On both sides of Mirajoa are the two strongest branches of the Navy, plus their own armed forces. There is no need to keep an admiral here. It will not take long for the reinforcement to arrive in Mirajoa, but before that, the garrison there can only rely on themselves to hold on. Major General, according to intelligence, a group of slaves have taken the bubble cable car, and they are about to come down. And there are giants. Major General, they are already in sight. This is the information sent to them by the people above. They cannot destroy the bubble cable car directly because that will cause the transportation here to stagnate. It will cause great losses to the world government, and the celestial dragon's request is not to kill these slaves, but to capture them back. So the few defenders above did not resist at all, but let them go, because the people there did not want to take this responsibility. They knew that, even if they let the slaves go, they would still have to face the defenders of Chigang, so they made this decision. Facing the approaching bubble cable car, the soldiers guarding here did not know what to do. Raise your gun, lower the muzzle, and shoot freely. Lower? The bubble cable car still has a certain height, and it is naturally impossible to hit the target if it is raised horizontally. Execute the order. Yes. Gunshots continued to ring, but no slave fell. This was the decision made by the Navy. As the guard here, he naturally knew what was going on above. He had no ability to interfere with the celestial dragons, but he could make his own choice at this time. However, after they landed, he still held his weapon in front of Tiger. Human, get out of the way, we just want freedom. Impossible, this is my duty. I will not tell you that the 2 warships in the east have sufficient supplies and can set sail at any time. I will not tell you that the ammunition depot is behind me. As long as it is detonated, it will cause big trouble here, and I will have no time to take care of you. I will not tell you that the support from the headquarters will arrive in 5 minutes at most. Point do it. Under the release of the Red Port defenders, Fisher Tiger successfully escaped from here with Mary Jo as slaves. When the reinforcement arrived, they only saw the burning Red Port. The next day, Tiger became a wanted criminal with an amount of 230 million baileys, and his name was also known by various major forces. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.